Someone mute your phone.
Please mute your phone if you're on.
Especially where you're gonna print off that.
You didn't tell me to. Well, I put it in the packet. I didn't see it. Well, you may have to refresh.
I have like twice a week.
It was in it when I looked downstairs. There it is.
Let me get out of the meeting and go back.
You gotta exit all the way out.
Yeah, that's what I'll do now. Christian? It's not. It's not all about.
Sort of looking like.
That's okay, I've seen it before, so. Not all about, as long as you guys can see.
That's not.
Okay, again, thank you for your patience, everyone. We are back in open session.
We have not done that.
You haven't done a motion yet.
We haven't done a motion. Motion to go back into open session. Second.
That wasn't on the agenda.
When I guess the meeting's
It's fine.
over.
Okay, then. I.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
So now we're ready to go on to item number 6, discussion and possible motion to enter into an agreement with the Dickinson Bradshaw Law Firm. Counsel, for your reference, you have an email in your packet from Chris Brandstad on that topic as well as other related topics. You also have the proposed agreement now in the packet. Any discussion?
Very public input. I know it's a closed session, but they know what it's about. I didn't know if they had any things besides Chris.
Well, I think, aren't we all kind of decided that we're gonna move forward? And we have them file the intervener. Right?
So
Proceed from there.
we make a motion to enter into this agreement with the Dickinson Bradshaw Law Firm as filing as interveners on behalf of the city of Fairfax.
That motion?
Yeah, yes.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
And you don't.
I
Say,
said yes.
did you say yes? That is, I'm sorry, okay,
Not talking loud enough to get started.
okay. Item number 7, consider a resolution opposing the Morgan Valley Energy Center and authorize the submission of a letter to the Iowa Utilities Commission. Drafts of those documents are both in your packet, that's all. Any questions? Hearing not, and a motion to about that resolution.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, please, Cindy.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Moving on now to item number 8, reports. We've already heard from the sheriff. Do you have any questions for any of the department heads or engineering? Hearing none. We'll move on to our first public hearing, item number 9. So we have 2 public hearings this evening on our agenda. The first step is to open the public hearing and hear an explanation as to the what the public hearing is regarding. Then we'll open it up for council discussion, public comments, and then we'll close the public hearing. and consider taking action on that. Our first public hearing is on a proposal to enter into a general obligation corporate purpose loan agreement. Cynthia, I'm gonna open up the public hearing. Cynthia, could you provide a little bit of information on that, please?
It's for multiple projects and the amount will not exceed $785,000.
Council, any questions, discussion? Any questions from anyone here tonight? Cynthia, did we receive any comments in advance?
No.
No. Then I'm gonna go ahead and close the public hearing. And we'll move on to item number 10. Consider the resolution to taking action against that general obligation corporate purpose loan agreement, not against it. There's no action on it, sorry, but, oh. Motion to adopt,
Motion. Second.
roll call please, Mary. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. That takes us to item number 11, which is also a public hearing. This one is regarding the fiscal year 26 budget amendment number 2. Going to open the public hearing, please. Cynthia, could you talk a little bit about this one?
This is, there's a detailed report line by line showing you the, adjustments to both revenues and expenses. In some cases, we were increasing, some decreasing. Most of them are just based on actual. Some are, to make projects that, you know, when we set this budget in March of 25, we thought would be done by June and they're not gonna be, or maybe just not as much. We didn't think it'd be done, but maybe less is done than we anticipated. So it's trying to get the project amounts correct. Typically we do 2 budget amendments in the year, one in the fall to correct projects that have carried over into the new, and then one in the spring to correct things. One of the bigger 2 items were the bridge. We thought maybe we would have to borrow $1 million, but we decided we could probably cash flow it with their reimbursement schedule. And then the other one, we had the 76th Avenue capital project projected, and that is not happening in this fiscal year for sure, probably not next. Questions about the detailed report?
Do I have any questions from council or anyone in the public have any questions on our budget amendment number 2? Cynthia, did we receive any comments in advance?
No.
Then I'm gonna close the public hearing and move on to item number 12, which is to consider the resolution to approve fiscal year 26 budget amendment number 2. Need a motion, please? So moved. Second. Roll call, please, Cindy.
I,
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye. Thank you. All right, move on to item number 13, the discussion concerning using Amperage Marketing to conduct a feasibility study for the Fairfax Public Library.
Evening, Bruce Bull, from the library board. We've been talking about this library expansion for a long time, and I know you're probably tired of seeing.
Did you turn the sound up a little?
Talk into the.
Maybe talk it.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, that's better. Okay, I've never been accused of being quiet. We have been talking about this for a long time, and I know you're probably tired of seeing me here, talking about the library expansion, but as we continue working forward on this, we kind of realize that, you know, we're learning as we're going. And we think right now it's really critical that we take a pause and we need to really get a firm foundation of public interest, make sure that we've got the public interest support, which that's been asked with, I know Dan, you brought that up. and potential private financial support. I think that's critical. We know a couple of different sources, but that's probably, it's not prudent to go forward until we determine how much can we actually raise privately, because I know the city is going to be limited, what the city's gonna provide. I don't want to go beyond that, because I don't know what you can provide for, but no, it's not an unlimited checkbook on that, so. So we think this foundational step should be complete before we move on, so it's really a matter of getting the horse in front of the cart, not the cart in front of the horse. The additional space needs, we know, we talked about the assessment, it was done twice actually, and each time the assessment determined we needed to get the space up to about 9,000 to 10,000 square feet, which we're at 3,650 right now. Board of directors, is what we're requesting is that the city of Fairfax utilize lost funds to engage Amperage Marketing to conduct a feasibility study for the library expansion. Study would cost $30,000. They could complete it within the upcoming months. $15,000 would be payable at the engagement of the contract, and then $15,000 would be due when they deliver the study. What the findings really would be from the study is quantifying public support, so helping us understand, how much of the city, what kind of support we have. And then probably most importantly is an estimate of the level of private financial support that is out there. So, what do we really have? And what's critical about this is Amperage has a lot of experience at this. They're headquartered in Cedar Falls. They've partnered with clients for over 30 years, or nearly 30 years, I guess I should say. They have partnered and worked with Marion, Cedar Rapids, several other libraries, Jefferson, in recent years to do the same type of thing. And it's really a good first step. And like I say, we're learning as we go. We should have done this first. That would have been a good, prudent first thing. But this is where we're at. We're asking for support. I think in the packet, there is the contract from Amperage. So any questions?
I guess I'm confused. You're doing a feasibility study, but aren't we already pretty much in general agreement that we were fine with an expansion? We were just setting a upper limit on the cost of that expansion. Now it seems like we're taking a step back on the feasibility of one, where we already kind of said we're fine with building one, but set a budget at about 1.6 million, or maybe a little bit more if we need to get you over the hump, not the original, the 3-4 million, somewhere around there.
Yeah, and this is kind of where the cart before the horse comes in, really, is that we really should have upfront said, how much private support do we have? What we're looking at is, we know that well over 50% is probably going to be private support of this on the library. So what is that private support? We came forward and said, yeah, there's a foundation that is, pretty much said, yeah, they'll do matching funds, 500,000. We've got some other donors that, but nothing firm. So we really feel like we need to step back, rather than limiting it and saying, well, all we can afford is 1.6 or 2 or whatever. Step back and say, what is the feasibility? So what's the private funds that we can come up with, that we can get to maybe the size of the library that we need to? So it's kind of, again, it's we're learning as we go. It's a matter of, this should have been done first. Say, what's the amount that we can really do versus us just setting an amount and saying, well, what can we build for that? It's more. I don't know if that makes sense, Mike, but that's.
They're not assessing the size that you need, they're assessing how much money can we raise, what source can we get that money from?
Yeah, maybe to be really direct about it, we asked them, when they gave the presentation, if you ever come back and said, at this point, you can't support, doing what you want to do, and the answer was yes. They have done that, so that could be an outcome of the feasibility, is to say, we could come right back to this point, and say, well, we want to build a 10,000 square foot library. Generally it'll cost this, and they may come back and say, you don't have the financial backing to do that. So we could get right back to this point, which may be frustrating for you to hear, but at least we will have done the due diligence to say,
How big was the expansion that you had the architects draw? How big was that?
That's 9,800 square.
9,800, so basically a little less than 10,000.
Bruce, could you explain for the council that had heard the presentation, on some of the steps that they would go through to determine what level of support is within the community?
Sure. Yeah, so one of the first things that they do is we would work with them, and the foundation will be partnered with this first, because essentially the foundation is going to be tasked with raising private funds. I mean, that's not a responsibility and not something that the library board, we're not a fundraising. The only we can do is come back to the city and ask for funds. So working together with the foundation and the Anchorage, what we do is determine a list of people and organizations in the community to interview or to talk to. Those would be a combination of influential people that might care about the library, people that would be likely potential donors, all of that, and doing an interview with all of those, to say, what's the possibility and what's your feelings on helping us and being a part of this and the need in the community. That would be the first thing. Go ahead, Mary.
I have some questions, cause this is really 10 giant steps backwards. So when you came to us originally and you wanted to create this foundation for fundraising, I think we were kind of like, do you really need to do that? Or, can we just do an addition and look at that down the road? And you guys went ahead and did your foundation, and that's been some time ago.
Right.
So since you've gone ahead with your foundation, have you not been able to raise any money with that foundation? Cause that was the whole purpose of it, was to be raising funds towards this. So in the timeline that has passed, what have you been able to do?
Small amount of fundraising, and this is really where I come back to, we're learning as we go. We really should have started, right up front with an engagement with somebody like Anchorage. So foundation is made up of local people here.
Because
None of
I
us
think
with
that
fundraising.
was our concern, was if you look at outside of Vern Chervany's large donation,
Right.
how much money do you actually receive per year in donations? And it
Right.
wasn't a lot. So
Right.
we're like, based on what your normal donation amount is, how do you expect to get to this?
It's really by, and this is where Anchorage will help us, it's by reaching out to large donors, it's reaching out to, corporate donors, it's reaching out to, organizations that will potentially do matching funds, and we've got some of that loosely, like I said, I think I've talked several times about, we've got a foundation that will do 500,000 matching funds. But we need a lot more than that, I think, our thought was, we need to step back, and I know it seems like, yeah, we were almost there, but yet we weren't really almost there, and that we really we were kind of back at, we don't have the funds, so now what can we build for a limited amount of funds, and, we really didn't feel comfortable saying, let's build something that doesn't meet the requirements now, knowing that it's supposed to last for, 20 years, whatever, a long time, 25 years. So that was where we wanted to go back and say, let's have somebody who knows what they're doing, which we should have done that in the first place, had someone like Anchorage step in and give us the guidance on the fundraising, because to your point, we haven't made a lot of progress in.
You were here when the fire station was here and their addition is done.
Yeah.
And if you'd have just gone with something simple to get you by with more space, it would be done, I think. So I'm a little frustrated at this point, because our end goal was to maybe do a community center type library, like a
Right.
nice
Right.
development somewhere down the road, but it wasn't yet. So we were like, let's just do a nice addition, get you the space that you need to kind of get you to that next point. And we didn't do that. And I think we were on board with helping with that. And like I said, the fire station, same thing, and their building is done now. And so I feel like we could almost have had that done for you as well.
Well, I guess, and I can't speak to the fire station, I know that runs smoothly and flat there, but, what we're looking to do with the expansion of square footage and all that, with the estimated cost, I mean, we're talking, over $3 million, and that's where the challenge comes in, and that, I don't think the city's ready to.
So I think that's part of the problem, is we were looking at, let's do a stopgap addition to get you the space that you need to go to move, and then see if it's viable. and you're immediately not an addition, it's a whole new multi-million-dollar facility, and that was not. So there was a disconnect
Yeah,
there,
Yeah,
and I
well,
feel like there still is, kind of.
well, I mean, I guess we need to get, we feel like based on surveys that have been done, and it was 2005 and then 2022, I guess, I mean, that we need to get up to 10,000 square feet. So maybe there's a cheaper way to get up to 10,000 square feet, I don't know, but we're trying to do something that fit in downtown that didn't make us look like, just a shed that was put up or something like that. So the challenge was if we wanted to do something for lesser, it would be, okay, let's get a much smaller amount of square feet. And I don't know if that's really gonna buy us much, that's more, that is a Band-Aid on it, and when we talk about getting us by for now until we go, across the, highway, I mean, we're looking at that being 20, 25 years, I mean, we don't know, it's an unknown, right, but I think we're thinking it's certainly not in the next 5 to 10 years.
A moment ago, you were thinking, you had the million-ish from Vern. And then you had 500,000 in potential matching funds, but you said a moment ago, you don't think that's nearly enough. Is that the library board's position, the foundation's position?
That's a
Or-
shared position that we've talked together, but I mean, so that's what we.
I'm just curious, why don't you think that's enough? Is that based on what the initial concepts or the initial dollar amount was when you had the architecture firm come up with the addition?
Certainly, that was based on that, on the square footage and expanding to that now, I mean, if we wanna. I'm not an architect, and I'm not a building person, so I can't speak to, gee, what other options could we do? But we do need the square footage.
If I may. He's not asking the city council for $3 million. He pretty much is gonna be getting all of it funded by other people. So all he's asking is for us to give him the money to get the study to say, we're gonna get this many people to give this much money so that we can prove the city people want this library. He's not coming in and saying, I want $3 million. They're not gonna even ask us for that kind of money.
They
They're gonna
already
pretty much do
They
it.
already have, wasn't it
They're not
1.5 million?
They're not now.
Well, we were asking for 3.6, but we realized, I mean, that's not gonna, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, I mean, if we get, as a city's gonna supply that.
They're not gonna give you anything, the way they're acting, they're not gonna give you anything.
I think we've said in the past, we're willing to give something to get over the finish line, but not 2
Right.
not 2 million or whatever, how
He's
it is.
asking for this to show the council. This is what we've got for people that want this library to be this good, whether it be citizens, people outside of this. We have Lawford that come here, we have all these surrounding communities. They're gonna be going out and asking those people, would you be willing to contribute? So it's gonna show how many people are actually gonna support a library here. So then if maybe they'll end up having all kinds of money, we won't have to give any kind of money. All they're asking for is to get the study done so we can prove we need this library expansion. Irregardless of what it costs, it doesn't matter at this point. They just want to do the study.
Yeah, you probably said clearer than me, Deb, thank you. I mean, and I know it's frustrating, we've been talking about this for a long time, but.
To hear that, all I hear about is the money. Why don't you, you're the one that said just build a shed. Are you kidding me?
I don't believe we ever said building shed.
Yes, he did.
He
Yes,
just
it-
talked about building a
He
shed.
said,
I didn't.
we did it.
Yes, you did. You
We
said
didn't say
that at one of the council meetings. You could just build a shed for less than that.
So
Wait a
it's,
minute, we've already allocated 25 grand towards this, correct? Correct. So what, theoretically, what you're asking for is, do
$5,000.
you want the other 5,000 to be added to the 25 that we've already allocated out of the loss fund? For you to be able to enter into this agreement with Cambridge, for them to, they will be doing the work. They will be interviewing people. They will be figuring out whether or not they've got money support to get you what you need.
That's correct, yeah, I mean, that's exactly it, yeah, I mean, that's all we're asking for. Like I said, I know it's frustrating because, we've been talking about this a long time, we've had several false starts. We're learning as we go, so I'm coming here, humbly before you saying, hey, we don't know everything about this. I wish we knew, ahead of time and just said, you know what, when we started, let's start with Amherst. Let's spend $30,000 and find out if this is even feasible for us to do. I mean, there's multiple results that can come out of this, right? We can find out there's no support in the city for a library. If that's the case, then I've been wasting my time and your time. I think what we're gonna find out is that there is support. I think we're gonna find out that we have ample financial support that we don't know about. But we need a firm like Amperage that knows what they're doing, if they've done this before, to actually identify that and do the work, and that's really what we're asking for.
Just a couple of questions. So you're saying Amperage is going to fundraise, or are they going to train us to fundraise?
No, I mean, this is a feasibility study, so this actually is determining how many big donors do you have, how many next level people do you have across the community that have an interest, that want to see something happen to the library as far as it expanding and staying, up to date. They'll determine all that. They will give us the basis for a fundraising campaign, saying, okay, we've identified these 5, 7 major donors that will account for X amount, that is what you need. Now go to it. Now, they probably would love to engage after that on a fundraising campaign with us. But if we've identified all those, we likely won't need to do that. We won't need to go out and say, okay, now we're not asking for a large library like Cedar Rapids or Marion or something where we're trying to raise $20 million. I mean, it's 3 to 4 million.
So they're gonna identify top donors, but are they or are they not gonna answer a question of, I mean, if it's completely funded through donors, that's one thing, but are they gonna answer the question whether people want the expansion?
Yes, that's a critical part of it. Those two things, those two elements. Do people want it, and do we have the financial backing privately?
I'm not trying to interrupt, but part of
Go
the
for it.
presentation, they have these people come in and they talk, they just pick random people. And they come in and talk to them and they ask them all those kinds of questions. Would you be wanting to? What are you looking for? So they have all that information. You don't want it, they think it's not what they want. Those are all the things that they consider. And then they also go out and look, not just here, outside the community for these big donors. And then that's when they'll come back and say, we don't really not have the support of your community for this kind of expansion. Or we have this much money.
And the community support was those 45 interviews.
Yes.
Yeah, or more. I mean, that's the 45, the 30 to 40 is really the
They
major
want 70 to
donors.
100 people.
They'll do more than that. Yeah, it's just that the major donors is somewhere in the line of 30 to 40 to say, we got some people that'll kick in more than, $50 a piece. That's the financial, support. But yeah, the rest of it is, the real land, what you're getting at, Dan. Do we have actually community members, whether they're gonna give money or not, or they in support of us doing this in the city? Yes, that's one of the things they'll determine.
Cause that's what I'm, again, I may or may not be in line with everyone else. You came here and asked for $5, you asked for $5 million, whatever, but the people want it.
Right.
So let's ignore the fact we don't have $5 million to handle, but that aside, if that's what it costs and that's what residents want, okay, let's have that conversation. So as long as this group can answer that question effectively, to say there's support by the residents, whether or not they're throwing $5 or anything at it themselves, but if there's public support for residents in Fairfax, then that's meaningful. So what would success look like in your mind from Amherst?
So there's 2 parts to it. I mean, and you hit it on the one. So one part is that we have identified a cross section of citizens that want us or want this upgrade to happen. It matters not whether they're going to give money or not. It's that they use the library. They want to see the library, continue to go forward, and so they're interested in us doing it. Whether or not they contribute any money or not, that's one element, and that success is that we've identified that. Cambridge has identified that. The other element of success, which is critical, you need both of these to go forward, is that they've identified a foundation of financial support, that will get us to, to getting what we need as far as, the size of library and expansion. You need those two elements, to be positive for us to go forward, and they were really clear on, they've done it before, came back and said, yeah, you just don't have what you need here, so sorry, you may need to either downsize your expectations or, just put it on hold for a while. Obviously, that's not the hope, we hope that they come back with positives, but what we most hope for is that they come back with the truth and honest, so that we know what are we up against, and, which they have a lot of experience doing it, so we're pretty confident that, that they'll come back with good data.
So the library has initiated a petition signing in support of expansion, correct?
We have, yeah, and, we'll continue to work
We know
that.
what that number stands at now.
I wanna say it's somewhere between 100 and 200 people, somewhere in there, but, I don't have the exact number. Kathy probably has it, but obviously she liked how she's in Florida.
So Bruce, I have a question. The council at this point has committed $25,000 out of the local option sales tax money. You would need 5 more. To do this feasibility study. They had earmarked that as for you to potentially look at an alternate design. But so this would cause it to go to a feasibility study instead. What if the results of the study comes back and says you have support, but in a much smaller amount? Would you have to come back to the council and ask for that design money again, redesign money?
I think, what they expressed to us was that they would come back and say, you don't have the support to get what you need right now, so now you need to regroup and talk about it. They wouldn't come back and say, we found that you have $1 million in support. They would come back and say, you don't have what you need to get to the size of library and what you need. So that would cause us to come back and regroup, and yeah, then we have a decision point. It's, do we put this on hold and say, to the point that Dan, that you got the two things, we have solid community support, but we don't have the dollars in the community private to do it, then we need to come back and say, what other kind of design can we do? We need the square footage, so when again, I'm not a building expert, but to get to a lower cost of that square footage, we would have to do some altered non-brick, some sort of version of a design. I don't, that's as far as I can go, because I don't have any experience in that, but I'm just saying, if you're gonna lower the per square foot cost, obviously you gotta change something in the building, materials.
You said you need 9,800 square feet. Where is that need? Who says that need?
So we had two different surveys that were done by the University of Iowa, basically funded or using it's through the Iowa Library Association, but essentially it's going and asking all the questions, size of the community, what's the size of your collection, all kinds of questions. And we did it in 2005, and it came back and said we needed 10,000 square feet. We did it again in 22. And it said essentially the same thing, that we needed the 10,000 square feet. So it's based on a survey that's been done by consultants from the University of Iowa.
Any other questions for Bruce on this? So what are you hoping for from the council today, Bruce?
Not to come back again until they have the answers from the Anchorage contract that says, yes, we want to go forward with this. I mean, fairly, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to jest, but I know you've had a long night already. Basically, for you to be willing to engage in a contract for us with Anchorage for $30,000. That's really what I'm asking.
I mean, maybe I'm crazy, but I feel like there already is community support for a library expansion. What we kind of talked about was finding the funding, so maybe you're taking 10 steps back and we add one step where we're specifically asking them. Find the funding, I think there already is an acknowledgement that there's community support expansion, the question is the dollars, is that something? And I know you said that's part of what they're doing.
So
But
you're saying don't
I don't
have
think
them
we need
do
to
that.
reach out to the community, I think there's already community support for it, the whole issue
Let's
this
spend
time
more
has
time
been
and money
the
trying to
dollar.
find the funding source instead
I
of
would
finding the
say,
need for the library.
using them to find sources of, revenue to raise would be more important than reaching out to 100 people and just to hear the same thing we've already been told, that there is interest.
I mean, I can't speak for them, but I have a feeling that the more costly part of what they're doing is the meeting with the bigger donors. That's really where the focus, I mean, yes, we need to show the community support. That's probably an easier thing for them to do than, meeting with, some of the corporations around some of the, different organizations that might provide money. That's a much more deep, entailed kind of thing. And if you look at it, can we cut the cost to 30,000? I don't know that they're gonna be open to that. I don't know that we're gonna save that much by them, curtailing a little bit of their efforts.
And I don't know their process, but their bigger donors might want to see that research showing community support before they sign on. That might be,
Professional research,
Yeah.
Yeah, and that is a very good point, Cynthia. I mean, that's one of the things that, again, can't say it enough, we're learning. A big donor, it's great that they see a handwritten, thing that we have at the library where people sign their names. It's another thing when they get a report from a place like Amherst that has, done the Bussey expansion, did the Marion expansion. They've given a report that said, yeah, here, we're certifying this, that, we see that you've got X% of your community is, it just quantifies that.
The lady that gave the presentation, this is what she does. She's been doing it for a very long time. She was very professional and she was upfront about if we talk to these numbers of people, we come back with, we're not gonna get your money. She's gonna tell you that.
Absolutely.
She's not gonna try to sugarcoat it so they can get additional funds to keep trying to raise more money. I think it's important from the standpoint of, yeah, we are learning. We had no idea that it was gonna be this complicated, but we don't want to. At least I don't wanna see it shorten the process, shortened to get something smaller and stopgap. Because as you said, we have no idea when Bell in Africa is even gonna be anything. And if that's our future plan to get the library over there, that could be. Well, we're all done.
Right.
So,
And if I may, I went to the meeting with the architect, and he didn't even charge us for this last time. He was showing me as a council person the potential of changing it. So I think he'd be open if we had to change it for square footage wise, if they say, hey, you have the support for whatever. So I think there is going to be workable things, if they say it's only worth, 8,000 or 9,000. I think the architect's on board for that. That's what he does as libraries. So he's gonna do what he can to make it look good. And he's a personal friend of the president of the bank, so he's gonna do what he needs to make him happy when he's looking at it, kind of thing. So I don't think that's gonna be a problem.
Do they look at the existing library and make any suggestions on that in terms of the feasibility study?
Absolutely, yes, that question directly, yes. That's an absolute yes.
Any other questions for Bruce?
Thank you, I appreciate it.
So. That was the discussion under item number 13. So that moves us on to item 14, which is to actually consider the resolution to enter into the agreement with Amperage Marketing.
One question is, what is out-of-pocket expenses?
That is something that I've already heard from the board saying that if there's any the board would take care of it. Foundation or whatever would be taking care of that. They wouldn't be asking the city for any additional funds. I'm not trying to overspeak for you, Bruce, but is that correct?
That is correct. I didn't know if I was allowed to speak on this item, but yes, that is absolutely correct. Yeah.
Expenses,
Yes,
the foundation would be
Yes.
taken care of, no additional money would.
that
come
is
from
correct.
us.
Foundation, not the board, right?
Foundation.
Foundation, yes.
Yes.
That was what a category called out of pocket expenses.
Right.
Okay.
It says total investment is 30,000 plus out of pocket expenses, but
Yes, that's, the foundation will cover
those,
that.
I understand those things scare me.
I understand.
Understand that,
For the price of gas going up,
Well, no, I mean, just realistically, if you're going to interview X number of people, you're going to go find donors. Out of pocket, you could argue might be equal to the initial payment.
We've had this communication, this conversation with them. They know that we have limited funding, so we're not gonna go down the road where they're sort of,
Not a
Shifting.
free-for-all.
yeah, a shifting of things around. They know that we don't have, funds to go out and spend another 30,000 on meals and gas. So,
Well, I would move to authorize them entering an agreement, just have the question about the additional. Get the 25 out of 5, I'm not sure how that's supposed to work.
So I have a question. So basically in your mind, is your Bruce, or is your end game to go back to the original design? And that's what you wanna raise money to build? Cause that is like for right around the square footage that you need. So is that what your end game would be with this, is to see if you have enough funding to build the design that you already have designed?
that's correct.
And by funding, she means private funding.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, and then we'll go back from there. I mean, yes.
so did you make a motion, Cindy?
Yeah, I moved to enter into the agreement.
I'll second that.
So, this is a resolution, so we need, a roll call, please. We'll start over there.
Start over there.
Oh, okay. Start with Cindy.
I,
No,
And still thinking.
I'm stuck on out of pocket expenses, not being clarified with cap.
If I may, I mean, I think, we're not going to be coming back and asking for anything, so, if there is out of pocket expenses, it's going to be coming from the foundation.
Are you comfortable if the motion says, to approve entering into this agreement using up to 30,000 in lost funds? What does that say?
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah,
So now I say yes,
So based on what Cynthia said,
Very nice.
that's all right. We don't have much going on. I take your time.
I was just thinking the same thing. Oh my God, it's the meeting that will not end. I'm going to vote aye, but I cannot express how disappointed I am in the way this whole process has happened. I believe when you created the foundation, we had very big concerns about that process and how that was gonna work, cause it's not as easy as it sounds. And you guys were adamant you could handle it, and we've come full circle now, and it makes me sad that we have, but I just hope we can move forward and get something resolved, so,
fair enough.
Okay. Thank you, Bruce. Okay. Moving on to item number 15. Consider resolution to enter into a separation agreement and release with this fellow. You have that agreement that council has previously agreed to and has been signed by Chris, so we just need to finalize this. If you will,
Motion.
Second.
roll call please, Marion.
Aye.
Nay,
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. Item number 16, discussion and possible motion concerning Rosina Geyer's request for additional vacation hours. Rosina will be our next city clerk treasurer. Rosina, would you like to come to the podium, please, and talk about your request here, please.
Oh, sure. I think, you guys got my email. I'm just here to answer any of your questions.
Cynthia created a spreadsheet here. Based off of, and included some information on our current vacation policy. Rosina's request, and then Cynthia came up with a suggested compromise.
You have 10 years of experience, correct?
In city administration, yes.
You are hired as a salaried employee. Whereas you would not be theoretically collecting overtime in that salary. You may work extra hours, but you may not, that's not accrued as pay.
Yes, I believe so.
Sorry, Cynthia, correct me if I'm wrong. Our current policy would indicate that any employee would need to work a year before they had any vacation available.
Right. The suggested compromise would bring her in line with the current policy after, in May of 28. And her suggestion wouldn't bring her in line until May of 38. And the estimated cost for the extra hours is at the top there. And that's calculated at the current pay.
It's opportunity cost, it's not really actual cost though.
What did you have currently, like at your previous employer, what level were you
I
at?
was just about to hit 180 hours per year. And, it's a different structure though. I will note that's combined. So that's paid time off with sick leave and vacation combined.
And with the compromise, the current policy with the sick leave carried forward and the personal days each year, although those aren't carried forward. In May of 28, she'd be at 192.
What is this suggested compromise? Is that something Rosina had?
no,
That's
No,
Cynthia's
Cynthia did.
suggestion.
yeah, when I started with 80 hours. It's just another possibility.
So we've done similar things
Yeah.
in the past.
Yeah.
Started, experienced people at the higher.
Right, it's hard to
So-
get people, without giving them some extra.
Normally you would negotiate that, like when you
Yes.
hire someone, you would
Right.
say, I don't wanna start over with 2 weeks of vacation, I came from a job that I'm getting 4 weeks of vacation. So you would negotiate that as part
Yes.
of your salary. You know what I mean?
So that's what's happening
So,
now.
yeah, so that's why I was kinda like, wait a minute.
I get that at the same time, I'm looking at this and. The first year, no vacation, and then you're at a week for the next year. I mean, I was fresh out of college and I got 3 weeks. I had
That's
to
a
wait,
lot. Usually it's a week or 2 weeks, standard to start.
no, 120 is pretty, I'll say corporate America, that's about the standard. You gotta wait 60 to 90 days to use it, but.
She comes in with 10 years of experience. She's not someone straight out of college. A wealth of knowledge. A wealth of knowledge.
So this spreadsheet, just talks about the amount. Rosina, didn't you in addition have a specific request to be able to use some of that prior to your first year of employment?
Yes, yep, I have my sister's getting married, I would like to attend that.
You know, just showing some examples with the city. I came in with 14 years of experience and started at 80. Brian came in with a wealth of experience, not municipality, but applicable experience. I don't believe he requested any extra vacation.
Scratch.
So,
That three negotiated that.
right,
We are in a new phase of life. I'm okay with going fund.
So I make a motion that we approve what she requested.
Again,
Specifically, that is 120 usable right away, or wait 60, 90, 30 days.
I, yeah, you know,
Typically, don't we have a probation period?
Is that
90 days.
90, would you wanna frame it after 90 or?
the wedding before 90 days.
No, it is not.
Okay,
So is there anything that would impact if we put a 90-day level on this,
No.
that it would, that wouldn't?
No, I plan on making myself fully available for quite some time to get to know the job and the expectations.
Motion adding to begin after 90-day probationary period, given everything is hunky dory at that point.
okay, second.
Okay, so all in favor?
I
Aye.
I,
Aye.
Bye.
We look forward to you joining us next Monday.
Me too, thank you.
All right. Moving on to item number 17. This was, our change in solid waste rates that you previously at the council meeting did your first and second reading, but wanted to wait to your third reading for final passage.
Sorry, I don't understand why it's not opening.
So the ordinance, the second reading date would be the same as the first reading date, correct? Instead, we move to skip those two and go to the amendment.
Excuse my interruption.
Yeah, this is the third and final.
This would be,
But I'm just saying on the ordinance where it says.
It's just not filled out yet.
Okay, I just wanted to, that that's what we did. I remember that.
motion,
Second,
this is an ordinance, so roll call please, Cindy.
aye.
Aye.
I,
Thank you. That moves us on to item number 18. Shameless to talk a little bit, I might have a couple comments too.
This is the revised applications, the MPOs or roundabout at the 80th Street and 151 intersection. So Mayor Garrett asked me, I think we talked about it last month's meeting, and asked me to update the application for roundabout. Mayor Garrett coordinated with Liz with the MPO, and I think we can get it in tomorrow if the council approves it and for consideration yet with this round applications.
On the original application where we had the traffic lights, what was, do you recall what the projected cost was?
I think the total was 2.8,
That's
the total,
our participation.
or 2.7 with everything, yeah.
So this
Now, the
is,
one thing I will say is, that was a pretty solid estimate because we had time to compare that and consider the roundabout. It's hard to say what, would need to be done. We've not done the preparation to determine what would be the appropriate roundabout, exactly how, we just took what was from the, excuse me. From the DOT's TEEP study from 22 out to then, and pull some quantities off of that, put some contingencies on there, since, you know, it may be larger, maybe smaller, I don't know.
Do we have any, in the design of this, do we have any say? Cause I don't want another contraption like they have up at the station.
So that's what we'd have to do, we'd have to do a preliminary study and figure out what is the best roundabout for this.
So if they come back and tell us that they want another one of those, can we throw down about that?
Yeah, you're the council, you can decide.
Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, to me, it's just gonna get worse and worse and worse, and that thing is too small already, the trucks are all over it, it's a mess. So, if we're gonna go through this process, I don't want them to say, this, here it is, and then have us all
I think
say.
this area up here is a lot bigger than what they had to work with up there. Potential might be bigger.
I just think they tend to do what they want, so I just.
Well.
No, if we have
the
input in
the
that,
City's designing it, it's not the
Okay.
DOT's design, when you're just forced with it, the city would design it, and so you're gonna have. And yeah, there would be input from the city and the council.
So, and this was the MPO's preference on our, this is strictly funding application for the future. Just a couple additional comments. Tomorrow, MPO Executive Committee is meeting here. We rotate our sites. And they will, be reviewing the applications and making a recommendation as to which one should move forward to the policy board. And, in our packet for tomorrow, I noticed that under road projects, that this intersection has, is the highest ranking of all the road projects applications submitted. Also, this was new to me, that MPO staff conducted a series of in-person engagement opportunities where people could look at things and fill out questionnaires. This project out here received the highest number of people participating and supplying comments over any of the other road projects. So we had a lot of people commenting that something needs to happen out there. So, mixed reviews as to what they wanted to happen, but they were very active in their engagement, so that was very encouraging to see those
So my
numbers.
question is, how many times did Dan participate?
I went to every location, every member of his family.
So the city participation for a roundabout would be more than the entire cost if it was a traffic light. Approximately, based on what you submitted. Or would potentially submit on the overall estimated project cost. Would you have the city participation of roughly 2.4 and the
Yeah,
other
and again,
fund?
that may be high, and there's a lot of unknowns, it may not. I try to put in contingencies to cover a lot of those unknowns, but
so is this a 1 lane, 2 lane?
those are the things we
In
don't,
the circle,
we don't know.
that's where we're at right now.
Well, how do we put a cost to something if we don't know if it's 1 lane or 2 lanes around?
Again, this is our funding want.
I want
It
something
sounds
that's
like
not burnt.
MPO and DOT want
That's
a roundabout.
burn it.
The MPO staff understands that this was a very preliminary estimate. They just needed the design change. Shane, our next topic on the agenda potentially will bump into the requirement by the DOT for having a traffic study done. Would the traffic study tell us what would be the better option, do you think, or will it just show us traffic patterns?
Well. Yeah, the traffic study, it all depends on what we request from the traffic study. So through the traffic study, when we were thinking it was just that intersection and it was gonna be traffic lanes, or turning lanes and a traffic signal. Then, you know, that's kind of what you're here for your traffic study, if that's the plan. You know, we met with the DOT here 5-6 weeks ago with concerns about the increased data center traffic, and, you know, some of the conversations from staff has been, you know, do we do a traffic study for the entire corridor? To address, you know, improvements at this intersection, but also try to address at least temporary, if not long-term fixes for for traffic increases partially due to the data center, so. You know, all that stuff could be considered in the traffic study, obviously, the more you're gonna consider, the more it's gonna cost. But
So this particular topic on the agenda is strictly on the MPO funding application, but I wanted to bring that up. As to whether the traffic study might tell us the better option,
yeah,
Maybe
that
not.
would be, you collect the information with the traffic study, and based on that, then you figure out which way to go forward with the. You know, roundabout, which type of roundabout.
Basically, this resolution is to authorize Jane to send them the application with the roundabout.
So the MPO needs a resolution from the city to show that the city supports it, otherwise it's not gonna consider it as. You know,
So we have to pay our share. Right.
right?
We'll make it a
So,
yeah.
pardon? Did you make a motion? Did I hear?
Yeah.
Well, I would also like to remind everybody that when Sam Shea was here talking, he did say a traffic light would force them to reduce the speed in this area, which is something we've been trying to do for 10+ years. A roundabout would not do that. You know what I mean?
Well,
Be good. Yeah, I mean, I would move the resolution.
our DOT representative is a member of the MPO committee, so. But. Motion on the floor,
Second,
and this is a resolution, so I need a roll call.
Nay.
Aye.
Nay.
Aye. Okay, so motion carried, Shane. Thank you, Shane, for quickly responding and putting a lot of extra work on this, so that we could accommodate them to time things. So continuing on our intersection discussions, item number 19. Resident submitted this request to be on the agenda. I think he brought something that Cynthia is gonna try to.
I put together a little PowerPoint presentation. I know social media is evil. But I kind of took my post on social media and made it into a presentation to break it down a little bit. I personally am against roundabouts. To me, the type of traffic we have is congestion, and we need breaks in that traffic, absolute breaks in that
Oh,
traffic.
not you, but you need to tell us who you are and.
Oh, I'm Don Stockton. I'm a resident of Fairfax my entire life. 59 years. And for most of that, I've been driving in this area. So that's my area of expertise. I'm a driver and I've been dealing with this traffic. So
They'll get their money. I think he's gonna suspend that.
all right.
Oh, let's see, I don't know.
Thank you, Cynthia, for doing this.
Well, I haven't done it yet, yeah,
That's why I see you're in the process of doing it.
I'm trying.
I'm just gonna scoot right along because I know everyone's time is valuable, but the first slide I have is immediate action is required. This, in my opinion, we needed to address the rising volume of traffic that wasn't done. This will ensure the safety of our residents and by implementing these traffic signals is what we're gonna do. Now, I'm not talking about a permanent solution. I'm talking about temporary traffic signals like the data center, and I'm gonna refer to the data center of the whole thing that's southeast of Fairfax. The data center traffic had the foresight to put up traffic signals all along 76th Avenue, and yet we're how many months into this and we still have no answer for traffic signal, and it concerns me because not only is it a problem for me to get out, but I have family, I have a young daughter, I have my wife, we're trying to get out on this traffic, and it's just, it's crazy the amount of things that the traffic is going through. The congestion is increasing, coupled with what we've got coming from Amana. It's extremely unsafe to enter or exit the highway on 151 at any intersection within the city. I had one guy respond to my post saying, well, I just pull out in front of traffic, they've got brakes. That's not acceptable. And on top of that, I've seen it happen. People are on their phones. It's just crazy. They're not paying attention. They may have brakes, but they're not gonna use it. It's no longer, unless we get to going with what we're doing, it's just gonna continue to get crazy. I'm a little shocked that Fairfax didn't take measures to mitigate the foreseeable traffic by seeing what's going on at the data center, but we still do it. We still can do it. We need to do it. I know the MPO is something that maybe we've been leaning on, but maybe leaning on a little too hard. When is the MPO gonna come to fruition? Is that 3 years down the road? So even if you do decide to go with the roundabout, but you're still looking at down the road. So I think a temporary solution are those traffic signals. And, I don't, like I said, I'm not an expert on this, but I do have the background in driving. The residents deserve safe intersections. Predictable breaks in traffic is absolutely necessary. If down the road you put a roundabout in, all that's gonna do is slow down already congested traffic. It's not gonna create that break. And especially if you're just considering 80th and 151, you've got how many intersections going back into town that people are stuck at. And one day here at this intersection, I spent 9 minutes. And that may be a low time, not be a high time, but you know, if you sit there for 2 to 3 minutes at an intersection, it's crazy. And you don't see a break coming, and it's just a constant flow of traffic as they come over the viaduct. And there's maybe 300 yards in between each person. There's no way to get out of that. You put a roundabout in, it's gonna jam them up, and the right of way is always to the left. So anything coming from south of town is gonna just congest that up and keep it even longer. So what I looked at some potential locations, for the roundabout. I put a map. Are we done?
Yeah, you're getting played off.
I put a map up that y'all know Fairfax. I mean, that's. First possible, consideration for an intersection or some sort of traffic control device would be 80th Street and 151. Obviously, that's the one that you're talking about for the roundabout. And the pros I found with that is it definitely will help the traffic at 151, provides one controlled access point. But the cons I put to it is doesn't help the immediate needs of the Fairfax residents south at this point. Anything back that way, it's just not gonna help them. I think it's necessary here, absolutely necessary, because this is an 80th Street has become a main area now with Highway 100 extension out there. But there has to be more. Church Street and Highway 151, I believe, is the most critical location that you can put it. I had considered, and it's later on in my slide, but I'll tell you why I believe Church Street is. It's the closest point to the congestion that we can actually control. Everything from that further back is privately owned, and there's not really anything you can do. It creates that break in traffic early on, because you've got Amana coming in, you've got the data center traffic coming in off of Williams. It's Williams that breaks off, it's 151, and Williams that goes there. I always called it Southview Road, but that's what it is. It will create that break as early as possible for the residents there. It's gonna improve the safety by entering and exiting town, and it'll reduce the buildup before it spreads on down the road. Now, to me, this is the most strategic and impactful location. The con that I put on this is it's at the base of the viaduct. Okay, so people are gonna come over the hill and, oh, there's a street light there. Well, mitigate that, put up a flashing yellow light. You know, you've seen that on Highway 13 and other locations where that light actually activates that says, when that light comes on, prepare to stop. And I find that to be useful, and it's something we absolutely can put here. Williams Boulevard, Southview Road, why it's ineffective, it would be the same thing as what we're doing now. They've got a stop sign there and all they're doing is slowing and going through it. If you've ever, and now what I have done is I've watched people come out of that intersection. They don't stop, they slow and go. You know, they call it a California stop or a roll. They'll roll right through that stop sign and they'll continue to do that. If you put a stop light there, they'll do the exact same thing. You'll have the same issue. It will create no break. So if you put that stoplight at those busy times at Church Street and 151, you're gonna create that stop in the traffic. You're gonna create that break for those next intersections down the road. Now you've got Prairie Avenue and 151 at the base of the viaduct on the north side of that. You know, that could be a possibility, but you're also looking a little bit further down and not creating that break for people further south. In my opinion, it's too far from the congestion source, less effective than Church Street. Cemetery Road and 151, I'll be honest with you, that's my road, that's where I come out and everything. I would love it, but that's only gonna benefit me. That's only gonna benefit the people at that intersection. It won't create that break for the majority of traffic coming out through Fairfax. It's gonna create a break for those people coming out at Cemetery. And I think it's just not gonna be strategic enough to do. My recommendation, based on my opinion, is Church Street, Highway 151 is probably the most critical point that you could put a temporary traffic signal. It's closest to the traffic source, and it will create that meaningful break in traffic to allow people to exit at other parts, to include Private Drive, Dollar General, or wherever they're coming out at. 80th Street and 151, it will support that northern access and complements that Church Street signal. So you get those two breaks in there, and then further down the hill, again, down 151, what is it? That's Skyview, Highland Drive coming out by the car wash, create a break there, because people have trouble there. People down by Beverly Road just having so much difficulty trying to get out there, and creating that break is so vitally important. With these signals, will reduce the congestion, definitely increase the safety. My biggest concern is safety for my family, because it's just crazy. They gotta take chances if they wanna get out into that traffic. Final message. This should have been acted on months ago, when the traffic first, before the traffic even started, before the data center was here. Fairfax should have been in front of this, saying we need to make sure that we're keeping our residents safe. The traffic still is increasing to this day. And it's not just here, it's everywhere. But safety risks are rising, residents are frustrated. And the amount of people that not only responded to my post, but actually called me and, yeah, you know, got behind it and rallied it, you know, they're just frustrated with it. Temporary or permanent signals are long overdue, and we need to act on this now. So that is what I've got. And I hope that you truly consider taking action. I will add this one final thing. One thing I didn't do is provide or look at cost. And, you know, obviously a permanent signal is gonna be more costly than something temporary. But an actual outright purchase of a temporary portable traffic signal, you're looking at $50,000 to $80,000. That to me is not feasible, I don't think. Well, rental is $90 a day, $270 a week, or maybe $800 a month. And now this is Google AI, so how much can you rely on that? But then on top of that, you would have the operating cost on an hourly basis of $15 to $30. Does it need to run 24/7? Probably not.
You're out of time, Don, I'd like to run over your time quite a bit.
You get 7 minutes and we let you ramble on for a
All
long.
right,
Alright, just when that.
Oh, that's all right.
Would open, if you email it to me, I can make it a PDF and then I can put it on the packet after, and then people can still see it.
Sorry to start you down, but
no, that's
we're letting you go a little bit longer.
first time caller.
Now, I wanted to say I appreciate your comments, because I know you said you sat at an intersection. I live on the highway, right before Church Street, and it took me 40 minutes to get out of my driveway. So I understand the frustration of all of this. One of our bigger issues is that is a DOT thing, so we have to figure out how can we convince DOT to help us in the short term while we have all this traffic, is there a way that they can be routed somewhere else? I've never understood why they're over on Edgewood, they come down 76 all the way, get on the highway, and then go out to Cedar Rapids again. So I don't discount anything that you're saying. I agree that we should have looked at this 10 years ago and tried to figure out how we could have done something, because it's coming. The traffic is getting worse, and I want to find a solution to help while we're building this stuff, because MPO is an application. MPO is something that is a long-term thing where we can get funding. And I understand that it's not gonna be it's not a stopgap. It's not gonna be, it's out there. So I agree that we definitely need to figure out how we can work with the DOT on our highway to help mitigate this awful situation that we are in.
Shane,
Yes. Just a couple things to add, touch base on that, the city's point, it is the DOT's highway, it's not the city's highway. Obviously, it definitely impacts the city and the citizens, but the city can't just go wherever they want on the highway, so. It is a matter of working with the DOT to get the temporary lights, signage put up, whatever it takes, so. We did meet with DOT, mentioned 5-6 weeks ago, whatever it's been. They basically said, if you want to put up temporary traffic signals, you have to justify it with traffic study, so. You know, if we want to do this traffic study for this intersection, we merge that with the entire traffic study for the corridor. Those are things you're gonna have to consider this before. Fortunately, anything with the DOT and the highway does not happen quickly. We all know that. And the other point I just want to touch on, which is specific to the traffic and the highway. For those of you that were involved, you'll know that it's hard to get up in front of something that we're not aware of. I mean, this is all new to everybody, and the data centers were not upfront with the impact. First of all, it was a 20-year thing, and it was a 10-year thing, then it's a 7-year thing or a 5-year thing. It's 2,000 employees, now it's 8,000 or 9,000, it's maybe 15,000. There may be more data centers, they get worse, so. Yeah, it's not that the city is just kind of brushes by, I just want to make sure you understand that city staff and councilmen bombarded by this as well. It's something that's on everybody's mind. I definitely appreciate your thoughts that everybody does, but there's not a quick to fix that
We can't put up temporary stoplights, can we?
not on the highway. Well, if we do a traffic study, which the city's got to pay for, and it's justified, then you can.
Can we put up temporary lights at Southview and Williams?
That's not DOT, probably not, because then you're gonna back it up on the highway, so the DOT would probably.
How would we back it up on the highway?
So if you do it at Southview and Williams, which is, and then you got the railroad there too.
Yeah,
So I don't know the distance, couple hundred feet. Now, if you do a stoplight and then it backs traffic that's turning onto there from the highway, it backs up.
but that's not within their jurisdiction, correct?
We could ask, I'm sure that.
up onto the highway now.
Oh, I don't disagree that be backing up on the highway in the morning when people are coming in. I'm just trying to think, because I think temporary lights, I've said before, and I asked in the early day, how do we get temporary lights there? Do we have to make a motion as a city, then reach out to the DOT and try and convince them to do it? So I think there needs to be temporary lights at a minimum immediate 151. I did not know that you had a conversation that they require traffic study. for-
yeah.
I think it would be obvious, but then again, if it's the hoops they have to jump through. But to work around that, is there a temporary where we could do a traffic light where you're not doing it on incoming traffic as in coming off of 151? It's a stoplight for specifically Southview
76.
and, yeah, coming, before it becomes William around the corner. It would be a light facing that and then Southview to force those to stop. But traffic coming off the highway, I don't know, I'm trying to think of something
Well,
to do it next week, not,
hold back up just for a second, yeah. So council, you approved, how much did how much did they put in this VIP? 25
For what?
for this intersection,
100,000 in the next fiscal year?
and that included a traffic study, which the DOT says you have to have a traffic study, whether it's for temporary or permanent. And the money's coming from loss, correct? I had sent you a look.
Okay, yeah, I don't remember.
There was.
How long does the traffic study take?
So Yeah, and just so everybody's clear too, that was for turn or traffic signals and turn lanes on that intersection only and surveying stuff. So now if you're looking to do a traffic study for the entire corridor, that's a different thing. Traffic studies could take, a couple months to get collected data and actually, especially if you're in the entire corridor.
Do we have to do that style of one for the roundabout? What do we have to do for traffic study? We have to do for the roundabout? Do we have to?
Are
Right,
we talking roundabout, are we talking the entire corridor?
well, I mean, if we're gonna put the roundabout in, we have to do a traffic study before we do that, correct?
You want to put it in the correct roundabout, yes.
Right? So it's if that study is different than we would need for a temporary, I guess, then.
Yeah, because you're looking at all the intersections along the highway through town, not just this intersection up here.
But the information that they gather for this intersection would be information usable for that project, right?
We do one traffic study, but if you expand it for the entire corridor,
Right.
The other thing I want to point out is, when you say, okay, we put a stop like temporary permanent here. But that may just make it worse for Cindy and the others, because that traffic is already slow, and then when you stop it up the highway, if they can't get to that intersection, they may never get out. So it may improve certain situations, and it may make other situations worse. So that's why the traffic study, look at all of that.
The whole
make
corridor,
recommendations,
yeah, I
look
think
at
that's
the
what
whole
we need.
corridor. So you may say, well, that's great for these people that follow that intersection. But for these people, it may make it twice as bad.
So the question, you've got an opportunity to make a motion tonight. My suggestion would be to give Shane the authority to initiate that traffic study immediately. Even though the money's not available till July, because it wouldn't be done before July anyway.
And we can start working on, what it would take for a traffic study and get the people involved that needs to be. It would be June before we would have any proposal back to the council.
I would make two motions. Number one, a motion to conduct a traffic study, and motion two, put up temporary lights at Southview and Williams.
Southview.
Well, it says.
Okay. I mean, because when they come on and Southview, there is no stop sign or anything. There's no controlled intersection at that. So they're coming around that corner off of Edgewood, all the way around 76, and then they don't have to stop until they get to the highway. So
They're stopping before that, my shop's right, they're stopping before stopping.
that's because they're backed up.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Well,
If they stop-
that's what I'm saying, if you put a light in back there, that's, then they give you a minute or two down the road, but they're gonna,
I know, they already go down around the rail tracks and come on that way, that's,
it'll be like cockroaches, they'll just go through town, they'll find an alternate route, they're gonna go around, they have already been taught to have multiple routes leaving south out of their project. Through multiple different roads heading towards Cedar Rapids and heading towards all the way to Walker. And they're gonna take the path of least resistance always. Can we put a toll road out there?
There you go.
That would go. And a pay-per-view on the roundabout when that goes. If that would be also kind of cool.
But just to throw in one more thing into the pot here. The asphalting of Williams extending into 76 appears to be going to start next week, Brian, and Eric.
okay, the traffic will stop. So I'm sure gonna stop in.
And they'll be rerun.
Installed in the flight to
In
town.
theory, they have to go to Wright Brothers.
They follow their instructions, they're supposed to go right.
Hey, there was a giant truck that went down Church Street last week all the way to.
I heard about that.
Yeah.
There was one that called him asking for a permit and he said, you don't, never want to go through town.
At least they asked, that was the first one.
This one was in the dark.
And this was a wide load, he wanted to know which route would be the best one through Fairfax to leave QTS job site, that site.
Did I hear a suggestion of just adding a stop sign somewhere? What was that?
Well, if that, the stop sign there it wouldn't really help because they're already going to the stop sign on the highway.
It just back right up, you know.
But if there was one of those temporary lights there that they had to stop for, can we control how long they have to stop for?
Probably what's gonna happen, it would, I think it would help out there. but you're gonna see a lot of them turn right, go down to left of here and then back to.
Or they're gonna go left and just go around Sussman's and get on the highway from there.
Yeah.
I mean, they're already doing those things, but at least if they have to stop. I don't know.
We should have told the officer to patrol over there now, if that, I didn't think about that project starting. To tell the sheriffs to be more aware that there will have traffic through town, or why they believe that.
Oh, yeah, we can still do that. I would have to put in a special request anyway through his.
It
Commander.
wouldn't be a bad idea, because they will be just flying through town if they can't get through that way, probably.
So what we're asking for, we need a motion to authorize Shane to,
We have a motion on the floor, right?
did somebody?
Well, I suggest two motions. One, a traffic study be conducted by Shannon. Two, temporary lights at Southview and Williams. I'm not saying it's gonna solve, like I said, they'll just go down later church. But then we're getting. I can't talk about that,
Where would you put it, Mike?
Williams/76 Avenue, depending on who you're asking, in Southview.
Depends on which side of that figure.
And it's in the city limits, that's the challenge, because those other temporary ones are all in the county.
But we had to approve the ones on Left of Buer and 76, remember? Because they put them up without ever asking for us to do so.
It's half and half, well, and this one would be technically the same. Plus the railroad, they have jurisdiction for quite a few amount of feet from the railroad on both sides, so. After the culvert too.
Yeah, I would suggest before the city puts money into that, we do get part of that by the DOT, so you don't put money into it and they're like, no.
So if you put a light there, what's your goal? On Williams Southview?
Break the
To
track.
break in the.
Break a track, because instead of doing, like Don was talking about doing a track like here. So instead of creating a break here, you're creating a break back here because we don't need the DOT's permission to do it here, where we do need the DOT's permission to do it there.
So
It's trying to find a creative way around not having to wait for a traffic study while still being able to create the break, potentially coordinate with Lynn County to have them sit out here. And after they issue a few dozen tickets, word of mouth will spread that hopefully you actually need to stop. But again, just like everybody, they're gonna find.
You do a
If
four-way stop there, and they might not stop, but they'll slow down.
The goal is to break up traffic as it's going.
Yeah,
north
because then if
and
they're coming
west.
that way, they
Yes.
just back up traffic on the highway.
But you're gonna inadvertently
redirect it, then it'll back this up and they'll eventually go, oh, that's stupid, we're just gonna go to church and Lynn and go up that.
And then you have them all in town.
And then Rog and then.
We're gonna see that anyway. And if not, then it gets redone.
And we're gonna see a microcosm of that, it's gonna start in about a week. When we close that down to asphalt.
Temporary speed bumps.
Well, we got that on,
I'm fine with that.
You might need to relocate them.
We built some pretty stout ones, we can put those.
I think we do the traffic study now. We're good for it, don't worry. Do the traffic study now. And then. I don't know if adding a light in there could just cause other issues on to 151.
Well, let's remember, if it creates horrible problems, then we just stop doing it. And we can say, at least we tried something. And maybe we wait until after it's been re-asphalted, so we
I
can
think-
kind of see what is gonna happen with Church and Lynch Street while it's being re-asphalted, because that will give us an indicator of what to expect.
right,
If we put a light there and some of them go, I don't wanna wait on that light.
right,
Okay?
good point. Plus, we would need to research for the DOT would still need to give us.
And maybe that might motivate them, it's like, oh, hey, you can't stop us putting a light there unless you wanna put a temporary light over at 80th and 151.
So are we telling Shane to do this study for the entire city? And not just for the roundabout? We
Not the
didn't.
entire city.
151.
Well,
they just-
But you know what I'm saying? Or it was,
The
it was
151
the
corridor
corridor
to
or
Fairfax.
just the roundabout.
You really need to do the corridor.
That's what I'm asking, just so you know, to clarify.
Well, you need to make a motion and.
A motion.
He made a motion.
Yeah, I made a motion to that effect
To
already. and I got
authorize a traffic
sidetracked with my
study of the
traffic
entire
light
one
idea.
fifty-one through Fairfax.
Stand out there with a stop sign like this.
My question is the temporary lights gonna stay as part of the motion?
Well, I wanted a second motion for that.
Okay,
For the first one,
So motion one would be to start the, okay. And then the second one.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Let's
Let's vote on that.
Yeah.
So Cynthia can keep her stuff straight.
All in favor?
aye.
Aye. Jane, do you know what you're doing? Did we just mudding that up all?
No, I'm.
You're good.
Good so far. It's next one.
And then the second one, and maybe we wait till June when we get to see what the traffic is like. I'll ask the motion for next month's meeting on the possibility of.
Agenda
temporary-
topic,
yeah.
As an agenda topic of a traffic light at,
So side info probably have to be done by next meeting. That's all right.
well, then at least we can get, right, and then we'll deal with the August.
Where's our little traffic
Or July.
June first, it might be done.
speed zone thingies?
No. He said 4 weeks.
One's on Church.
Not today.
So when do you think that?
You'll still have an idea
So
of
end of
what
June?
you're doing by next.
It'll be, we hold them for USA.
Okay,
Yeah, it'll be really close. We have to have our end up doing the culvert done by June first, as that starts June first.
how about if we do something generic, the possible motion, for an agenda item, a possible motion of the addition of traffic lights within the city limits, that way if we find out that it's a train wreck on Church and Lynn, now we already have it on the agenda that we can add it to Church and Levere, or
We can
literally
put it anywhere.
anywhere, as long as we're vague enough.
For next month, you're talking.
Yes, yes, because that should be. Take a look at the calendar, we'll have at least some sort of sample size to go off of.
I think it's the ninth.
The ninth, so we'll have a week to find out what kind of Charlie Fox truck they're looking at.
Well, I already mentioned right across the railroad track.
Well, and that's
That's
the.
why that truck ended up down, on there because they should, they were to go and that's where it's.
We need that all the way up.
It also gives us some time to answer some questions of what kind of, say, does the railroad have, if we're thinking about a traffic light there. If I don't know the distance between that intersection and the railroad.
And I'll be.
Okay,
So,
okay, all right, Chop, yeah. Done on that one. To be continued in June.
okay, sorry.
Okay,
Thanks, Don. Traffic is an issue. We got this time.
okay, Shane's got some more,
Thank you.
some more things. You're welcome. Thank you for sharing. All right, item number 20, pay application number 8 from Peak for Heartland Heights Pavilion and Restaurant.
Yep, this is the eighth pay application, for $27,330.98. I think they got the project mostly done. I know there's a punch list of items to be completed. And then, I don't know if there's any other items to be paid other than retainage, but there's definitely the retainage to be paid there.
So this is not the last one. Could have one or
Not the last one,
two more.
one or two more.
So moved, pay it.
Second.
Roll call please, Marianne.
Aye.
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 Aye. Thank you. Item number 21, another pay application. This is number 6 from Boomerang for the West Cemetery Road intersection project.
This pay application is in the amount of $553,942.90. Again, this is not the final pay application. They did, get the project substantially completed last week. And, I think they'll have a few punch list items and then they have to, on their project, the bridge contractor will come in, remove the existing bridge, and then Boomerang has to finish extending water main and sanitary sewer where the existing bridge is at, and then the project will be finished up. So they will have another 1 or 2 pay applications, but this does cover the most, and basically finishes out with a little bit of retainage and a couple items to be completed.
Any motions?
motion,
Second. Roll call please, Marianne. Abstain.
I,
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Item number 22, resolution to approve amendment number 4 to engineering services agreement with Long Hall for the well number 4 project.
So this is for, the well for an observation project. This is that project is for the most part completed. I think Schrader, was out there this last week touching up some site work. The well contractors are done. I think there's just some retainage, maybe some final site work needed to be done. But this is an amendment. This is for LREs doing additional, modeling on 2 different scenarios that the city has requested of them. When evaluating the, well pumping for proposed well and future wells. Any questions?
Need a motion if there's no questions, please.
motion,
Second.
Roll call, please, Cindy.
Aye.
I,
Okay, item number 23. Change order number 1 from Jim Schrader Construction for the bridge project. Shane, can you give us just a little bit of background on where we are with this bridge
Yeah.
project in general?
So, on the bridge project, or on the intersection project?
No, we're on the bridge,
Yeah. Okay,
number
so-
23.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear. So the bridge project, per the contract was a specified start date of June 1st. The bridge contractor Schrader Construction, or Jim Schrader Construction, has requested to start it early. And we had a recon meeting yesterday for this project. They want to get started, remove the bridge tomorrow. And then, bridge contractor, they'll remove the bridge, remove the sign. When they get that done, my understanding is Boomerang will come back in a week or so with their sewer and water extended. And then bridge contractor will get back on the site and they'll fill up the approaches to the bridge. So they're gonna fill as you approach the bridge. And then they have to sit for 3 to 5 weeks to settle. And so basically the site will just be sitting at that point. And so with this change orders for the contract was specified as a specified start date of June 1st. And the reason it was set up that way was because we had the intersection contractor, which is Boomerang, working on the project in that site. And we wanted to give them time to finish up, so we didn't want the bridge contractor to come in the beginning of April saying we got a late start date of June 1st. So we can start anytime we want, and then they may be in conflict and trying to work in the same area. So we had a specified start date of June 1st to give Boomerang plenty of time to get their job done now. Well, Boomerang finished up, like I said, last week. Jim Schrader Construction is ready to move in, so the timing works well. So now we're doing the change order. We're gonna change, the change order request is to change it to a late start date of June 1st, which allows the bridge contractor to move in anytime up till June 1st. Just kind of formality, there's a no cost change order, it's just changing the construction start date.
It's a DOT requirement, the verbiage part of it has to be.
So I mean, a weird question I'll ask that, but, taking out the bridge, is that gonna affect the current Stallman West Cemetery access for people?
That bridge has been used since last fall.
I'm talking about like behind the Stallman Road where now it kind of goes around and the bridge is, so the bridge, taking the bridge out is not going to affect the current path of Stallman to West Cemetery going that way.
It's actually located just east of that.
That's what I thought, but I just wanted to make sure that people
No, the
that live
current-
out there aren't gonna get stopped because they're.
So there's a detour, if you're heading south on Highway 151, there's the right turn lane onto West Cemetery Road. So that traffic is detoured further south and they have to turn on Stallman and around. And so that pattern has been in place since last fall. You know, will stay in place throughout a good portion of the summer until the bridge is open back up. So yeah, it really doesn't impact any of the traffic patterns. This The bridge project is really isolated, boomerang at the intersections, all realigned in position. So the traffic that's using those intersections operates just fine now. The bridge contractor will just work right in that area around the bridge crossing. Any other questions with the project in general or? But yeah, any questions on the change order? All right,
Need a second?
Second.
Roll call.
I,
Aye.
I,
one thing I want to point out too with change orders and pay apps on this project. If you look at them, they look a little bit different. This is, the DOT, it's FH, Federal Highway Administration funding funneled through the DOT. So we have to go through their processes and it's a little bit different system, different process, so things will look a little bit different. And ultimately, all these have to go through the DOT, and be approved through the DOT as well. So you're all aware of that.
Okay, thank you. Item number 24 is our first pay application to said contractor, and Shane, explain why we're doing that.
Yep, so the contractor, as part of the DOT process, the contractor, the city has to pay the contractor for mobilization, and mobilization is a lot of things, used for the contractor to mobilize the site, but it includes their, admin and all that stuff, and obviously before they actually start construction, they have admin costs, working their staff and their team to get things ready, get all the documents in place. So the DOT process, they require, that the city pay, it's either 1% of the mobilization item, or, 10% of the mobilization item, or 1% of the overall contract price, whichever is less. And in this case, it's 1% of the overall contract price.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Can I issue this check tomorrow, or do I have to wait for a process to go through Doc Express before they take action on the
Let me
payment?
check on that for you.
Okay,
So in this case, it was the 1% of the overall contract price was a little bit less. And then with the DOT process, they use percentages and you have to round it, so, and then we have a 3% retainage, so the overall pay application amount is,
11,476.05.
$11,135.60.
those are less.
That's different.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's because the number I've given you was 10%, but then
The resolution is correct.
the resolution is correct, yes. But the number
Yeah,
that,
it's not.
that was put on the agenda was before all the application was done and the rounding and the retainage, so.
I think that makes the amount of the claims wrong, maybe, I'm not sure. We'll have to check that.
All right, so I need a motion to approve tab number 1. So moved. Second. Roll call, please, Cindy. Aye.
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 All right, thank you.
Next up, Brian has a couple of things to talk to us about.
Yeah, first one, the part-time position. We were looking to get back to full staff for one part-time position short. We went through the full-time employee positions. We interviewed, 2 individuals. As it turns out, one of the individuals was not really looking for the full-time position anyway, which was, they did not get recommended for the full-time. After talking to them, they actually preferred the part-time position. When we reposted it, we got another interview or another applicant, which was previous employee Dallas Chandler, put in his application of the part-time. And with, the discussion amongst, the majority of the hiring team and Joanne, we went this route. We kind of favored, leaning towards hiring Dallas because all of his, abilities, credentials, knowledge of the system, can jump right in and do anything we need, so. That's what our recommendation was for this spot, and I guess, I don't know if you got any other questions, but
And this would be year round.
year round as needed. Wouldn't necessarily be 29 hours every week. So.
Right.
Brian and I have already communicated about the questions that I had on that future going forward, just call, email, and just keep me on, please. I do not have a problem with Dallas, if he's willing to work part-time, I think he would be a great continued addition to the staff and the work that we will have coming up
Yeah,
in the,
the two newest ones, we're gonna have some, time that's gonna be related to teaching and
right.
instructing and. He'd be that one hand that we don't have to worry about, let's go do, and he already knows, so.
Was that a motion, Cindy?
I can make a motion as to, I would make a motion to hire Dallas Chandler as a part-time public works employee at said rate in $25 an hour.
Second.
All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Thank you. Item number 26 is about, puzzle internship. Right?
Internship, yes, so Julie Severs from ISG, our other engineering firm for the water well, treatment plant. Is involved into, this other. I don't even know what it's, water in progress internship. And she just reached out of the blue and said that they had an applicant that wanted to do, signed up to participate in an internship if we had, and it turns out they were from Fairfax. And so she asked if we'd be interested in doing it, and so she sent me the alternative information. That, you know, previously we've had internships through Kirkwood and a few other places. And during that time, it's completely up to us whether we wanna do it, and yes, no, and we pay a minimum wage. In this case, they pay you back or pay for it up to a certain point. And so, because it was a Fairfax resident, I thought maybe it'd be a good idea to. I mean, we're on board with trying to do it as long as everybody else is okay with doing it, and
So we have an intern for free, basically.
basically.
Motion.
I just had, I had a
Sure.
question too, is this a high school graduating, or is he further along in school?
Best I remember was high school, right now,
Yeah.
going into college, yeah,
you said cities MED, what is MED?
MED.
You said cities MED at,
Probably Medicaid and Medicare, our contribution, is that?
Oh,
Yeah.
on this map,
Yeah.
Social Security and Medicare,
It's taxes.
it's Medicaid.
payroll taxes.
Okay, so do we have to pay unemployment tax and state tax?
State tax is just withheld from the employee, so that's not an additional cost for the city. Federal tax is just withheld from the employee, that's not an additional cost for the city.
That's.
And we don't pay unemployment, we only do it on a reimbursement basis.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if we wanted to come out as close to the 5,000 that ISG is willing to reimburse us, it'd be $19.35 an hour for 12 weeks at 20 hours a week.
Okay, so I don't have a problem with that. I was thinking, oh my gosh, we still have to pay these other taxes. There's so many taxes off the check. I just wanted to make sure.
You made the motion.
I did.
Second,
Okay.
All in favor?
I,
Thank you all.
Okay.
you have a lot of training to do.
Yes.
Well, the nice thing about interns though is potentially they could become future employees if there was an opportunity.
That has not happened with us.
Well, yeah, I usually get to work somewhere else.
One of them stuck around extra for the ratio, so.
Right. So we have to approve payroll changes by resolution. I don't have the intern added in there, but I can add in there at the $19.35 an hour for as an intern for 20 weeks, 20 hours a week.
So that's item number 27, resolution to approve the updated payroll list. So moved. Okay. Need a second?
second,
Roll call, Cindy?
Do we have to abstain because my son's on here, or can I vote on this, cause it's only, we're only changing.
Yeah.
salary?
Correct.
You're going to change this.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's nice, I wanna make
Yeah.
sure, so in that case.
I,
Okay. Alright, very good. Alright, item number 28. Discussion and possible motion concerning hiring procedure for a city administrator. This is a discussion.
so, position is officially vacant. Joanne and I discussed that we still feel it's needed, but we're not certain that the council is all there yet. And so we just kind of wanted to discuss what your feelings are, you know, if you want to move ahead now, if you want to discuss it again in 3 months, if you want to revise job description, if you want to do more research, just where are, because we didn't know what we were supposed to be doing.
Down nowhere near ready.
No, I think.
I would like to have some time with the new city clerk that's coming in to transition some of that stuff. To try to figure out what exactly we really do need our city administrator to do. As opposed to. Not having a great understanding. It just appears that we didn't have a great understanding of what that person's role really was.
I don't think that was ever the
I'm
yeah.
saying that from outside looking
Yeah,
in, you know,
yeah.
because I'm new to the council, new to see this, but I've watched it come and.
So
I'm
would
just
you?
a little confused.
Would you like Joanne to list some of the things that she's currently covering? I mean, that's what I'm wondering. What information do you want from the people who have been dealing with it, you know, and recommended it 2 years ago, 3 years ago? What do you want?
I think when we first brought it up, it was a good conversation of, we're growing, we have all of, you know, we're growing this area, you know, we might be a smaller town, but we have the same number of things going on as some larger cities. But with that looming out there, not knowing what the future growth of the town is gonna look like, I don't think we're in a position to try to fill a role that may not have.
So you don't want any information? That's, I'm asking, what information do you
I
want
would like.
to make that final
Okay,
decision?
I would like information. Before we had one, what were people's duties before we had decided to go down that path? That would be, you know, what duties did the mayor do? What did the city clerk do? What did the deputy city clerk? What did the water people do? What did our jobs look like prior to this? And then I want specifics as to what the city administrator took away from those jobs. And why was it important for that role to happen?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other info?
Do you want that for next month? Is that?
No.
Is it for?
I want to sit, I want to let the clerk come in. I give it 2 months to gather that stuff. I don't know that I'll be ready to make that decision when we're only being here for a couple weeks.
Well, she's not gonna know what the clerk did before the
No, I'm
administrator.
saying,
That's why you've got it. That's why I'm asking now before I'm gone.
that's why
You get that
I want that information.
Wait a minute, when is your last day?
The end of June.
Yeah, so. That's why she's asking, cause she won't be here to tell you.
To give you whatever information you asked for.
But there'll be information from the other departments that she can go by, right? Because you're.
Right, but it's mainly the clerk and the mayor that were handling the duties.
Great. And yeah, I still strongly feel that we need this position in some form. But I also agree we need to hit the pause button for a little while, at least.
And
Yeah, I
gather
suppose if you have the
information, have a
information, right.
discussion, yeah.
And
You know,
discuss.
gathered, it can be a discussion,
Yeah.
but I would definitely
Yeah.
not be wanting to try to make a motion on anything.
Oh, no.
I'm just looking for information
Sure.
to get a better grasp on like
Yeah, that's
who
what I,
does what and why.
yeah, that's,
Job descriptions, don't we now?
yeah,
We revise them based on our city administrator. That's why I want to know what we had before.
You just want to basically say, hey, here's the city administrator position and their responsibilities. Everything highlighted in yellow is what the mayor used to do. Everything in pink is what the clerk used to do.
Go right.
It should have been the city administrator doing it, but we were dumping it on the clerk and the mayor to do, because she was kind of a de facto city administrator as well as the mayor. Hers was kind of like a time constraint and expertise level, I think. I know she was, her concern was the time commitment. And then Cynthia's
And
was,
that's what the
her
process looks like.
responsibilities were more in line with the city
So
administrator.
be it.
We'll try to gather information for you before. I
Yeah, we can do that. Okay. Number 29, discussion possible motion to approve a new Lucky Wife wine slushies special event Class C retail alcohol license application.
Is this the same one that did one before?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. We thought we would have remembered that name.
Yeah, no, I don't believe it was.
Everything's in order, Cynthia?
Yeah,
Council?
How often are they doing these events?
This is the only second one that council has.
yeah, they come before you each time, so not often.
There was just one last year, wasn't
I
there?
think there was two.
Was there two?
So this might be the third.
Yeah. And I didn't hear of any problems with the other ones. So I didn't attend either, but
You had a question about that, Dan?
No, I'm just getting a little hesitant on some of these that. I don't know if we have all the details of. You know, the pop-up events, and I know nothing has happened, but. What's your concern? Capacity, security,
I think she's having a shed event that day, and that's why this particular food truck, drink truck, whatever you wanna call it, I don't know what it actually is.
I don't think she has it at every one.
No,
yeah, yeah.
she didn't have one at the last shed event.
So we have a motion,
Second.
all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Dan?
I'm gonna say aye, but I think we need at least myself, need a better understanding of what the long-term plan is. For these events.
they are giving all the required information that the state requires. Truly, I think you can say no, but I think the state can go ahead and issue it if they meet all the criteria.
What was your question?
I would
I
say
think
go up and get a
Dan's
slushie
saying
and
he's
check
gonna
it
go
out.
down there
That's what I
last,
would
when
say.
they're there and get blasted out.
Go up there and check it out, see what you like. What I would say.
Okay.
Sort of put together, that's my personality, but.
Oh my, let's move on. Item number 30. Discussion of possible motion to approve a new over-the-counter retail tobacco license for Little Roosters at X at 700 Williams Boulevard.
Are you here to speak about that? Are you gonna tell us what that?
Yeah.
Come on up.
Tell us who you are, please, sir.
Steve Huber, Church Street, nicotine packs. That's what they want to sell. Zins, if anybody's heard of those, it's an energy thing. That's what they want to sell.
Also, it's not like cigarettes. and-
No cigarettes.
I
Absolutely
was
not.
wondering if it was
I'm
like,
an ex-smoker, no cigarettes.
it's not like a vape pen, it's a,
It's no vapes, no, this is Zins and or something like a Zin. It's a little pouch that is a nicotine pack that construction workers go crazy on. They like
it's like you eat it.
it. Well, okay, it's kind of like the old,
You know,
It's like a
It's
two.
like,
Tobacco
it's like
pouch,
a tin rolling, it's a bag they put in their mouth.
Yeah, it's not loose like an old tobacco, it's like.
No, yeah, but it doesn't have, there's no tobacco in it. It's just nicotine, and it's for focus and energy, that's what they're. At least that's what,
Infantry men love it.
That's what we're not.
Types of products sold, it says on
That's
here,
what it says.
alternative nicotine products.
You know, that's what we need for a traffic light, we just say, hey, we have these.
get everybody focused, Rob.
But yeah, he just needs to move that food truck down into the intersection a little bit
Well, we'll
more,
put
and then that.
nicotine
turns out-
stop.
Let's still the Zen, right by the wine, that's what it is. It all sounds great. It's like Red Bull vodka.
Or maybe we should just go wine it, that's food truck, get Red Bull. Stop on that.
Wine.
Thank you for the explanation, Steve.
So moved.
So, well, sorry, this permit's only for those products, not
Right,
anything outside.
that's what it. Got a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
I.
Aye.
Did I say I don't recollection.
I didn't hear it.
I.
Okay, item number 31, consider resolution to approve transfer Cynthia.
This is a, not for debt transfers, so, the 40,000 is from water to water debt service. Remember, they'd like a balance in there that's about a 1/12 of the next fiscal year's requirements, so my math guessing is right, that's enough. The farming fund, transfers into the park savings, it's got like 6,500 right now, so I'm suggesting that we move 4,000. This is just, we keep getting invoices from the UP, and so as we pay them, this West Cemetery, I'm sorry, the Vanderbilt Street Capital Improvement goes negative, so we move it from another road capital project to there to take it zero. This is just a extra 93.75 for the Williams Boulevard sewer. And then, so the Heartland Heights, that is the only current capital project that's being run out of general, because we had some park bond money in general. Well, we ran out of that, and so this is my estimate to take it through the end of the project to zero, and it's coming from another park capital project improvement line. And that's all of the transfers in this one.
Any questions for Cynthia on the transfers? Hearing none, need a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, please, Mary. Aye.
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 Aye. Next item 32 is debt transfers resolution.
Yeah, so these are the actual debt issues. It shows each debt issue separately. And then it gives an explanation of where the money is coming from, and then summarizes the debt transfers needed, and then even shows you the debt payments that are coming directly that don't need a transfer. But I like to give you all of your debt payment information in one snapshot there.
Cynthia, can you look at, it's D and E, just before the left, yeah. Up, another one.
What number?
Like some.
11, section 11. So, like, it says transfer order 1058 from the general fund, is that supposed to say to someplace else, or is it just stop for the general fund?
It should say to the debt service fund.
Okay, so, yeah, so.
And that would be reflected in these totals, so, yeah.
D and E both need to add that. I think those are the
Okay.
two that I saw that didn't have that
Okay.
language in there.
11 D and E to debt service.
Yes.
You wanna make a motion with those corrections?
Unless anybody else has any questions. No. Motion to accept and adopt with those changes, and they're going to the debt service, is that what you-
Yes.
Second.
Roll call, please, Marion.
Aye.
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 Next, topic. Special and possible motion concerning setting on fireworks in West Fairfax resident.
Do you want me to get it over there?
Pardon?
Do you want
Yes,
me to get-
please, resident.
Dan Wozniak, 1518 Hartman Street. I put together a proposed ordinance for limiting the use of fireworks that essentially matches the minimum that the state of Iowa passed, I believe it was last year. That states July 3rd, 4th, and December 31st. Does not have any restrictions on the types outside of what, again, the state of Iowa is permitted for usage. So as far as what commercial and, or sorry, consumer and display as defined in Iowa Code 727.2.
You said this is what the state of Iowa currently is set at a minimum.
Yes.
And actually, at that point, you can't change it. The state of Iowa will not allow any jurisdiction to override that.
So you could go,
You could try to get rid of the state minimum and you
right,
will
but you
fail.
can't go lower.
Yep.
Okay, that's, yeah, no.
No, the
That
cities,
answers
the cities that had none have to add it back to this limit. Whether they drug their team on, I don't know, but they have to.
I feel like we went over this. Did we not do this already?
But we'd have to reconsider the ordinance. That would be step one.
That's the next topic, yeah.
He's just saying this is the discussion on his proposal.
As a resident, he's presenting it as a discussion topic.
Yes and no. So the ordinance, as it's written, is a reconsideration of a previous vote.
Right.
This is not. This is a different ordinance. So what cannot be done is blocking a topic from being brought up, because that would have essentially limit any kind of legislation to be done by the council. So if we said fireworks are off limits, okay. If we had a topic that was related to water or parks, those are also now off limits. So it's written to approach a prior vote in its exactness, not necessarily a topic.
You're asking to change the fireworks usage, correct?
Correct.
And we already have an ordinance that discusses the fire allows or sets the limits for fireworks usage, correct?
We do currently have an ordinance, yes.
And in order to change the ordinance, how we have our current rule set up is the previous people from the prevailing side have to suggest that it be changed.
So then here's also where there's a coincidence that two people that were on the prevailing side are still on the council. What if they weren't?
Yeah.
So then government just stops, right?
As it's currently written, yes.
So
Then you'd have to
That's-
address the ordinance.
that's fine. That's not what the resolution says, though.
So what are you hoping for out of this discussion? Anything?
Discussion and possible motion concerning setting off fireworks, based on this proposed ordinance. That's laid out unless anyone has any revisions.
It's not hard, but the ordinance exists. You can't just use some magic and say this ordinance is somehow different. You would have to specifically address the ordinance that's already in place. This ordinance, you don't get to make an ordinance to overrule that ordinance. The ordinance already exists, so you have to ask to change that ordinance.
Okay, so how did the Heartland Heights bathrooms get on the agenda? Or how'd they get approved?
Are you asking about pay application?
No, not pay applications. So the original project was put on an agenda. It failed because it was too expensive. Came back the following meeting and was thus approved. So is that it? Following the ordinance?
You'd have to tell me when we did that. I don't remember the specific date and if we reconsidered.
Well, as far as fireworks is concerned, there's no limitation of time. So it doesn't really matter when it was done, right?
What do you mean limitation of time?
So we have a new council session, right? Every 2 years, there's a new council session. Whether it's the same 5 or a different 5. Well, things can't be a different 5 technically, but
I know what you mean.
at a new council session, and you could say, fine, let's block a topic, even though it's not how it's written. We're gonna block a topic for that council session. Okay. But you can't in perpetuity then block it at a future meeting. So let's say in December, there was an ordinance that was discussed, failed, passed, doesn't really matter. January, you have a change of council. In essence, you're putting the future of the city into people that are no longer elected officials, based on how that ordinance is being interpreted.
It's a resolution.
Resolution, I interchanged those, I apologize,
But didn't you vote for that resolution?
doesn't matter.
So, and the reason for that resolution was to prohibit flip-flopping
And things
on,
are constantly coming up.
yes,
that
because,
come up.
and the reason, one of the reasons was, is we had fireworks
Don't forget chickens.
and chickens like on our agenda, like all the time. So that was one of the reasons why we did that, was so it wouldn't same topics wouldn't constantly be back on the agenda. And we voted for that, and she had the attorney review it.
Right, again, what is the resolution? What does it say?
Which resolution are you talking about? I know it's not, are you talking about the agenda and meeting policy, which is the next?
Yeah, we can't switch topic here, we're kind of straying off to a different topic.
So, yeah, I know what Mary Ann's asking and what Dan's getting at, but the topic right now is, do we want to reconsider the existing ordinance for
Or
fire?
no, we're not there yet, we're still on 33.
Okay, well, he proposed a motion that we talk about it.
Okay.
The ordinance already exists, so we can go to the next one.
Well, it says discussion and possible motion, it's not
You
specific.
can't make a motion on an ordinance that already exists. You're asking to change the fireworks usage ordinance. You can't just say, well, here's my ordinance on fireworks usage. That's somehow different than the one that's already on in the books.
So let's say item 36 comes up of claims. And there's 3 votes that deny claims.
Okay,
Can anyone bring up claims ever again?
we can ask to it be reconsidered the following.
So it's different items on the list. It's just the topic of claims.
Well, just so we're clear, your whole proposed ordinance, if we were to even consider it. We have USA Days always the weekend before 4th of July. So you're gonna tell people in all the entire community of Fairfax that they can't do any fireworks on USA Days. Cause that's the way this is written. Cause if you're gonna do that, you think people were pissed when we didn't reappoint the clerk? Trust me.
I think it's a mute point.
Well, it is a new point. I'm just bringing up a problem with his potential
Oh, that's a good discussion point.
revision
Any
here.
feedback?
The point is, as it's written right now, the meeting policy, the agenda policy. We would have to specifically, which is the next bullet point, reconsider that ordinance. And I know what the point's made, well, what if we say no to claims? Then we can never pay any claim again? No, I don't think that would ever hold up in any sort of challenge. I know what he's getting at, but no. It's for the claims listed on May 12th. The next month it'd be the claims listed on June, whatever it was. But if you're asking that we need more specificity to prevent that stuff, to prevent some sort of broad, well, you said no to X, therefore no claims can be brought up again.
I don't think that was the intent.
I know it's not, but if that's the level of specifics
But I
he
mean, that,
wants to
that
prevent
wasn't the
that,
intent.
that's fine. But again, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Right, so on this one, we've got some feedback from Mary Ann on his proposal. Any other feedback?
There's an email.
There's nothing to be.
Oh, yeah, there's an email from Nicole in the packet. Any other questions for Dan or feedback?
My feedback. Well, I would have a question on if we take no action on this, does that mean he never gets to talk about this again? That's where that other language is kind of, prohibitive on doing things.
He can
And if we
ask.
take action on it, then we have two ordinances.
Well, there's no action, that there's no feedback outside, it's just no action.
He can ask the topic to be brought up, then it's up to the mayor, and if she says no. Then it can be, what is it, 2 or 3 council members that say it has to be on there. I mean, there's ways of getting it discussed again. Question is it a productive use of time? With the current policy of agenda topics and meeting.
So anybody interested in making a motion on this discussion?
And there are other motions that you could make concerning setting off fireworks other than on the ordinance. You could make a motion to put something in the newsletter to try to appeal to make sure people are on their own property or within the time frame. There's other motions that you can make on setting off fireworks.
Sure.
And how are you gonna enforce it?
I'm not pretending to.
And that's
fine.
And that's one of the reasons why we have the ordinance we have is we just adopted the state ordinance. Because there's really no way, we don't have law enforcement, there's no way for us to really enforce anything different. And that helps law enforcement know that that's what our code is the state code, so they know what that is. But in all honesty, it's very hard for them to enforce it.
Well, it's not just that enforce it, Lynn County Sheriff's Office, they have no interest in doing so.
Yeah, by the time
Now,
they get out here,
shouldn't
they're gonna
set
shoot me, they can't
because of
find who
that.
did it. But that's why we have what we have, is because it's very
So if
straightforward.
I may, why did y'all put out a questionnaire asking the citizens if they wanted the timeframes and all of that fireworks to change?
That was very specific. Requested by very specific. person. And then so the way that tentatively works is a lot of times if you ask someone, if you put something out there, the people that really feel positively or negatively about it will respond. And the people that don't wanna are the ones that responded. Cause they don't want, but all the people that enjoy them and the majority of citizens that like fireworks, they don't come and complain because they have what they want. So there's no need for them to come and, so they don't show up to say, yes, I still want to keep them. So unfortunately,
There were responses though, people that were for fireworks. And
I'll give you an example in my neighborhood. There are 30 people that are for fireworks, 8 that are indifferent, and 6 that are against. Of the people that responded to the questionnaire in the Fairfax facts, only 2 people of those people I talked to responded to that questionnaire. Both of them were opposed. That's fine. The father was opposed to them, but that gives you an idea. To Mary Ann's point, is people who are strongly against them are the ones that are most likely to respond to them. And that's also a flaw in collecting kind of formal data like that, is you get the squeaky wheels who are very unhappy with it. For the people who are getting to use them, don't necessarily respond. And the other, to that point, one of the complaints from people who don't like fireworks is more and more people are using them every year. Well, that's kind of counterintuitive that their argument. Well, does no one like them, or more and more people using them each year, which is. Because if more and more people are using them each year, as long as it's within the confines of what we said, which is the state law. I agree if they're shooting them off at 1 AM, though, please. If they're literally leaving all their fireworks on the curb or whatever, they should get a ticket for litter. I don't have any sympathy for that. But if they're using it within the state law, the time set. And more people are using them every year, then I don't see an issue. And I don't see a point in revisiting the existing ordinance.
I have a question. You to keep saying they're in compliance with Iowa state law, and this is in compliance with Iowa State Code section 727.2, which is it?
What he's referring to is towns can restrict fireworks usage. That is the maximum restriction. It's just the third, I think, fourth, and then New Year's Eve. Whereas state law is from June 1st to the weekend and after the 4th of July. And then a 2-week period in December. I think it's like the 14th, the 31st, or the 1st, something like that. And then it has times like 10 PM, I think, on the weekdays, 11 or something on the 3rd and weekend. Something. That answers the question. What they did there was that was a reaction to cities outright banning. They modified the law and said, well, severely restricted this. We can't outright ban them. The cities like Cedar Rapids said, even though the state passed it, you can't do it at all. And the state said, well, you still have to allow some.
So any interest in making any motion related to setting off fireworks in Fairfax?
So more or less, you're just changing the time frames, the dates, what the state is, that's what you were solidifying, it was June 1st through whatever. it
We
was.
followed the original state law, which is June 1st to the weekend after the 4th.
So could you put something in there that would say, other than to include USA Day or that? If you would add that, I'd be for it. Cause I could understand what she's saying, those people want to do it. So could we possibly add that little part in there?
Is that a motion?
Yes.
So your motion is to,
I approve this, but to add in the weekend that is USA Days, whatever that date would be. That it would be allowed to put those same timeframes.
But you have a resolution that a motion can't be made on that ordinance, I believe.
Again, back to my point, which
Yeah.
is number 35, you cannot vote on this ordinance.
until we figure out that.
Yeah, I don't think we can.
You
That's why I
cannot,
had
so you,
number
on
35
topic
here.
number 33, you cannot vote on this. You would have to go to 34 and then reconsider the existing fireworks ordinance. Then you would be able to bring it back on probably the next agenda.
The next
And
agenda.
then vote for the changes.
I agree. With the way for resolution.
Which resolution, number 11? On,
The meeting and agenda procedure,
34, but
yeah. Okay. So we can make some motions regarding setting off fireworks, but not in relationship to the ordinance, sounds like. Existing ordinance. And they can't conflict.
So do you want to make a motion on something in the newsletter or information
I
after?
make a motion to say in the newsletter, don't be a dick, set things off at 1 AM. And pick up your trash.
That's the problem.
Do you want to make a motion to ask for extra patrols, you can make other motions that address the problems.
You can't catch people quickly at all.
I know.
Yeah, I would make a motion just to put a reminder in Fairfax Facts and on the website of when the usage is, and that if
Please be courteous of your neighbors and their
courteous.
pets.
it doesn't hurt to go to your neighbor, if someone has a skittish dog or cat or something like that, it doesn't hurt to go to them and say, hey, I'm gonna be shooting fireworks off on Friday, just to give you an FYI. I know some people give their animals, what is it, anti-anxiety medication, that's a little extreme for me. I give my dog Doritos, and then she licks her butt and forgets there was ever fireworks shot off. But that doesn't change the fact that you can still be a nice neighbor and do that.
Yeah, bye.
No, you're gonna have to listen to it. But no, to give out just some reminders, courtesy, follow the rules that exist. Pick up your fireworks.
I think we usually put an ad in the facts, but not quite to that extent.
Well, we don't have to talk about dog club thing, but we can if we got the space.
We usually, what we put in is just the state code, but we could try to expand upon that.
Yeah.
Talk to your neighbor, you know?
And vets out there too.
Hmm?
Vets, you know, the PTSD, I mean, that's.
So there's a motion on the floor
Not that problem.
to enhance our annual fireworks message.
Do we need a motion for that? Have that in the.
Yes, for feasibility.
I mean, you can do a motion to direct that.
Do we need to have a motion, put something in the newsletter?
I don't
Do
think
we?
we have to have a motion, I think it's just a direction.
Okay.
Please do that, sort of. And then the next two, we definitely do. I need to figure out our ducks and make sure our language is correct.
Well, let's do number 34 first. This,
Skip.
Yeah.
Mike and Mary Ann took your interest in making a motion to reconsider the fireworks ordinance on the next agenda.
No,
Or we'll say you're the only two that bring it back.
Again, this-
What happens,
Sorry,
I think
this-
if you
this
make
sounds
the change,
absolutely
you are going to have a uproar. That you don't even, you want to talk crap about sidewalks, you haven't seen it. Tell people they can't. You will see it. I just assume not.
You're talking specifically, you were saying.
And yeah, in general, all of it, yes. You tell them that they try to restrict that.
So I understand that conversation. I know I'm skipping to 35. But again, you have a topic that you have two new council members that you're in essence saying cannot talk about something.
Well,
Because
the majority
they weren't-
would be three of us, so there's you, three of us. That are making that determination, correct?
On 35.
Yes.
No, I'm talking about 34 where it was, where Mary Ann, you and Mike are the only ones that can put on a future agenda. So two newly elected officials, when they walk in, have topics that they're not allowed to talk about.
Like, I have had people ask me about that.
Right, so that's.
I could never put it on there because only you two could say that we could have it, and that would be a problem, that would stop growth, we got new people moving, now we've got this thing, hey, I wanna figure this out. We would never be able to add anything like that. because
No, but I don't think that's legal.
Yeah,
It's not just fireworks, it's any topic, but
that's
well, it
what I'm
must be
saying.
legal.
The
because
attorney
the
reviewed
attorney
it
reviewed it
in
and said it's
April of
okay.
25.
You know,
Yeah, so it was reviewed by the attorney, but and it's not just fireworks, it was other issues, things that would come back and come back and come
let's stick
back.
on 34 for that, then we'll go on to that.
Well, I thought we both said no already.
So you're not, okay. So no possible motion on 34. All right, I put 35 on here because of all of these conversations. And yes, it doesn't make sense. We would need two people to want to reconsider it next month to change our meeting policy because I feel it's got a lot of things that need to be addressed.
Again, it's
10
how does
years.
that happen if the two people that are, you know, creating that thing are saying, no, we're not gonna reconsider it.
3 people voted for it.
that I'm
Okay.
correct. I don't know.
So if those two say no and he says yes, Deb and I are still screwed because we're never gonna be able to get that policy changed or
No,
revised.
it was unanimous, so you approved last time.
Well, she's saying just us three are currently on the council.
Oh.
So it'd take two of us to say, yes,
So
we want to
you
review
guys
it.
would have to say you
But-
wanna reconsider this.
When it originally passed, it was 5
Oh,
years,
right.
what?
You know, one of the challenges is what if it's 3 years from now and we have a totally new council? They don't get to talk about any of this again. There's a lot of different things that I think we could improve upon the procedure that we didn't consider when we established the procedure. So when I.
So you guys are telling Deb and I that we can't even make a motion to reconsider this, is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, what I'm saying is your opinion isn't as important as mine.
Oh, yeah, we.
The serious answer would be, I think, I'm not gonna make a motion on tonight, I think we could probably look at maybe some tweaks to it, but,
no,
to your
Without
point,
getting that back on
to
the
your
agenda, how do we
point.
do that?
It would be next month.
I'm making a motion to put it back on the agenda for
So,
next month.
here's my concern, is people that get on the council and they only have agendas, like, I'm only gonna get on because I wanna do this, I only get on because I wanna do this. I don't wanna revisit this and open that can of worms and then immediately get somebody's wish list for 5 things or 6 things that now that they have majority, they can just go through and make all these changes that aren't necessarily.
Well, that would have to
They
be
still need
discussed on
votes.
any revision.
I'm just saying, cause I know as soon as we say, yeah, let's revisit this, the whole laundry list that we saw earlier is gonna come back out. And immediately, you're gonna try to change all of those things. So it's not just like, hey, let's just revisit this and let's, like, it's more than that.
So Dan made a motion, we can't say anything after, correct? So what you're telling us is that anything that I have talked to people about that they didn't like about certain things, I now can never bring that up.
No, that's not
Because I
true.
wasn't
So
on
your
the council
option
to
would
vote
be,
about it.
your option,
No, if you guys had already talked about it.
your option would be to try to change our mind. But I would like to revisit fireworks. Are you open to that? What would it take to get you to do that? So your option is to have a conversation about whatever it is you wanna bring back and get us to change our minds and say, yeah, we'll bring that back. I think that's correct.
You can.
So I'm not saying it's a one and done thing, but on this topic, for me, it is. Cause we spent numerous meetings over and over, different. Just like the chickens. We spent 2 years in chicken hell. And then we passed it all in like a week. The next time it came back up, cause totally different people, totally different responses. So you just
Isn't
have.
that what, how government works?
Yes, you just have to communicate, but at this point, I'm not there yet, I don't wanna give that up.
Well, we have a motion on the floor from the prevailing side to reconsider it at the next meeting.
I guess I'm baffled by the logic that,
Yeah, you can try to persuade me, but I'm just, at this point, I've already seen the laundry list once, I don't wanna see it twice.
well, that's fine. First of all, things need votes, right? So it can get shot down, but all I'm saying, for 35, I don't think it's being interpreted properly. If you're saying that it blocks a topic from being brought up, in essence, that's what it's saying. Or how it's being interpreted instead of,
If we've already voted on it.
so do we have?
It's the same thing that we've all voted on unanimously. Like,
Not
so,
all.
No,
Not the.
I didn't
not
know
this
that
year.
well, no, but I mean, when it
That's what I'm
was
saying.
put in, but when it was
but
put
now I've
into
not
effect.
tied my hands effectively, if I've got people coming to me saying, hey, I didn't like what they did, can we figure something out? I can't do anything about that, and you say I'm gonna try to change your mind, and I do that how? Can't get it on agenda, I can only email one of you,
Exactly.
How do I do that?
So what you're
So-
saying is you have options to do it. I can talk to you individually, I can email you, I can pass your concerns on to other people. I can even ask if you put on the agenda and reconsider. So you're saying there are options.
Not to change both your minds. There's only, I cannot talk to both of you. We cannot have that conversation.
I changed my mind on chickens, didn't I? Didn't I vote for the one that passed?
I forget.
And originally I was like, no. Well, actually, most of us
I
were.
was the only positive chicken person all along, so. It's easy for me to remember.
Now I'm hungry.
So we're back to, we have a motion on the floor by one of the previous prevailing voters to look at the agenda meeting policy next month.
I also would like an audit in the 90-year history of the city of anything that's failed. And that won't be allowed to be brought up again unless the prevailing side brings it up, which those people may have passed on, don't live here, aren't elected officials, because that's how we're interpreting it.
I would not say that that's how we would interpret it. Anytime Joanne and I have discussed it, I didn't discuss whether there would be nobody left on that had voted for it. When Joanne and I have discussed it, I believe that we've said, you know, if, let's say Mike and Mary Ann were not, nobody that voted for the last fireworks consideration was still on. I think it's obvious then that that doesn't pertain, but yeah, it doesn't say that. But I don't think that was ever our interpretation.
So. Adding some things, I don't hesitate to call them exceptions, but some additional wording that says in case of this happens. Might be appropriate, but I haven't written down in all my thoughts.
So effectively, we're saying that in a functional council where it takes 3 votes to get anything done. We're saying that 2 people can block future ordinances and resolutions. That's in essence what's being said.
Well, in this particular, there's 3 people and it's 2 to 1. So there's, right?
No, because
Is it-
the two new council people have no say. I am very curious what any attorney, call one of at random, would say about that.
Our attorney reviewed this before we
Yes.
put it into place.
That attorney probably
It's our
interpreted it the
attorney.
way, but he probably interpreted it the way that I interpret it.
On the G drive, I have the revisions that the attorney and mayor made. I believe still it shows what changes that they made in the policy. You know, something else that can happen is you can rewrite your ordinance based on the discussion here. And see, you know, send it to Mike and say, you know, can we have a discussion about, you know, what do you think about this revision? Would you be open for reconsideration of this then? Or Deb and Cindy can rewrite that resolution and talk to Mike. Mike, what do you think about this possible revision of this policy?
I don't understand this,
If we do it together and then send it to him, that's 3.
Yeah, we can't.
but either way,
Cindy can talk to Mike about an agenda topic. You can talk to Mary Ann about an agenda topic. That is not a quorum.
Right, and you said we
Us
do
two.
it.
I said you could work on
You
it.
2 can work together, that's not a quorum.
Right.
Then one of you can email the proposed changes to me, that is not a quorum.
Right.
Yeah.
Or you can do it via the mayor.
Yeah.
And that's what I can do. We can't have a conversation and then take our conversation to one of the other. That's scary if we don't do that.
You can present a revised document to review.
Yeah, you do have to be careful of walking corners.
So it's like, you all were asking for all this stuff, but you thought we did all that when we voted on city clerk, and now you're telling us to do it.
Yeah. Now I'm telling you to revise the document and then present it.
One more time. The current agenda topic is to reconsider the policy.
So what she just said, if I revise this agenda and meeting policy and give it to Mike or Mary Ann, maybe Dan, I mean, because they're
Those three.
not all three, I mean, just one of them, whoever. How do I get it back on how do I get it on the agenda? Because it's a revised,
No, you ask the mayor to put exactly this on, discussion of possible motion to reconsider the agenda policy. And then if your changes are convince Mike or Mary Ann to make that motion, then the process has started.
but part of the process says that you have to do a motion to reconsider something to be on the next agenda. So how do I put a document? I would put my document here, or, I mean, I'm just a little confused. That's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah, you can put the document there. They're not gonna vote on it, on this reconsideration. It's something for them to consider, So if Dan's proposed ordinance would have been a middle compromise, maybe they would have voted to reconsider. I don't know if they would have.
This is just conversation is so baffling that we have one of the most valuable things that people have. They die for their ability to vote and to choose representatives all across every level of government. And what we're saying is that two people have no say in adjusting an ordinance or a resolution. So again, I'm not talking about fireworks. Let's ignore that. Talk about number 35.
Yeah, I'm just saying that 5 people that were elected voted that in.
Right, and 2 of them
We were
are no
one
longer
of-
here.
Yeah.
So now we are powerless to change that, it sounds like.
Right. Yeah,
And then that's a problem.
but you're not powerless to try to negotiate a compromise.
Outside of the council meeting.
That makes absolutely zero sense to me.
Well,
So effectively,
Can I make a motion that our attorney looks at this, because in this situation, this is just absolutely baffling.
the attorney did look at it in April of
In a
25.
situation where you have 2 new council.
We're not in
people,
that situation.
ordinance, is gonna change every 3 years.
So we're just asking permission.
That's because of the voting,
That's what it is.
that's because of the voting.
Well, to be fair, so if the ordinance changes every 2 years, then it changes every 2 years.
Exactly, it
Mike
votes,
himself has said an ordinance is only as good until you change it. We see this all the way up to the federal level, things change.
Denial of the citizens gonna react to that. Wait, is this an odd year? Can we do fireworks?
In fairness,
I don't
I
care about
would
fireworks.
question if we would have to wait until next month to have the attorney review it, because that is not an agenda topic. And then am I wrong? If he wants to have a agenda topic to vote to review it,
Well, then it has
then
to.
he can do that. I'm
Then it
fine
has
with that.
to, then
It has to be on next
approved
month's
by-
agenda.
Then again,
And-
because we've changed the rules, it has to be approved before it can go to the attorney.
Well, no, he could,
He means put that the council would direct it towards.
Can-
He's asking for,
We,
yeah.
normally
We
we
have-
just say have them do it, but
Can we have the city attorney look into the inability of Debbie and Cindy to legally enact their elected abilities in voting and things?
You want that on the next agenda?
I don't think that's an agenda item. I think that's a fundamental issue that is, well, I guess fine, put it on the agenda, but the silencing of people is incredibly worrisome. Which, by the way, here I'm bringing up fireworks, could have gotten voted down 4-1, okay.
that's,
the sugar.
Is that-
it's the sugar.
ringtone?
It's ringtone.
That sounds great.
Yeah, really? Seriously?
Oh, did not expect that.
That was like, I would all that.
I was hysterical at first, something.
Yeah.
They brought a cat.
All right, so you're
You're
asking for an agenda topic for next month. Have the attorney re-review our agenda meeting policy because it appears to be
Dan doesn't like it.
It's not that I don't like it, it's, I don't,
I agree, it's making them powerless. So we're not gonna do anything about redoing it on our own, the agenda.
You've asked for it like 4 times.
Move on to the claims list. Cynthia, do you think you might have had a correction on that?
Oh, yeah, I wanted to look at, gotta get
Yeah.
which mouse.
While you're doing that, can I just ask a question? From April 20th through April 27th, there's some huge differences in payroll. Is there a reason?
Yep, on the 3rd week of the month, we pay out comp, over 100. They can only accumulate up to 100 hours.
That explains it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Oh, I've got the right amount here. I must have taken it off the resolution, not the agenda.
Are there any other questions on the claims list? If not, need a motion to pay the bills, please.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I,
Okay.
And I'm sorry, what? Also, we pay out cell phone, $55 on that same week. How about that?
Say, opportunity for citizens not on the agenda. Anybody
Stick around.
from the public that would like to
Always,
speak?
deal. That I need to leave.
All right.
I'm not gonna have.
I think we've,
You don't have any special meetings coming up, do we?
no, not at the moment. The only, I wanted just to mention a couple of our big projects starting up. But I think they've been discussed except for sewer lines. Brian, you want to just give them a brief update on when the sewer line?
Yeah, the sewer relining, we just had pre-con today, yeah, today. They're looking to probably get started on that next week. Yeah,
Where's that going again?
North side of the track.
north side of the track, Prairie Park.
I may have mowed over like 2 of the flags that are gonna be a problem, or during
Yeah.
the last gas explosion.
At your place?
You're not gonna dig where it.
No, not that in front of your place.
I thought, well, what are the ones that, I thought we were talking about doing like the repairs?
That's like.
The one around the pole out front?
Yeah,
That one was, they marked it so they can move the great, ground rod that was through the sewer line. And, so part of this project, they're supposed to get on their camera, and find out what may or may not be able to be done with that. Repair. Hopefully it can be just a quick little liner thing and. Well, there,
Did they get around that?
yes.
So any affected residents, should have received a letter by now, giving them a heads up on the process. And the contractor will notify them. 24 hours in
Yep,
advance.
24 hours in advance to each step, yeah.
That's all I have. Cynthia, any additional comments?
Yep. This is my last city council meeting for the city of Fairfax. I want to thank Marianne and Mike, as well as previous elected officials, for the opportunity to work with you for the betterment of Fairfax. I want to thank the residents and businesses of Fairfax for their support. Most of all, I want to thank the members of the fire, maintenance, parks, building, and city hall departments for their hard work and support. You have made it a joy to work for the city of Fairfax. Thank you.
Okay. Excuse me. That was, you wrote that,
Yes,
but you told us you were here through the end of June.
I won't be the clerk next meeting.
Oh.
I will not be at the city council meeting.
Okay, I was confused there for a minute. Okay. All right.
I want to stay here for 4.5 hours, then.
Yeah.
Need a motion to adjourn.
Motion, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So.
First. Yeah.
Oh, yes, thank you.